Okay, hello everyone. I hope you remember in the last lecture we have studied about balance of payments. One of the very confusing, very difficult and very difficult to analyze or very difficult to imagine. The chapter is balance of payment. Let me tell you that the relevance of balance of payment for mains is very less. To be very honest, one question can be expected, but that will come only when India's external or balance of payment position is in a lot of deficit, or there are really issues with respect to how foreign exchange is being managed in India, right? Or there is some very heavy outflow of capital from India. So otherwise, it means you don't expect a question. But in prelims, consistently questions are being asked. In prelims, consistently questions from fiscal, monetary, everything is being asked, and conceptually they are asked. So we'll see the questions today. You'll have a lot of fun in the questions. First, let us continue with the balance of payments chapter. Okay. So now balance of payments, very important. Muy importante in Spanish. It is called as muy importante. Very important. Let us quickly revise what have we done till date in balance of payments chapter. What have we done till date? Can anyone recollect what have we done? Balance of payment is nothing but a statement of India's position with India's means governments as well as private people's transactions or position with the rest of the world. Right? They can be in any currency. They can be in, but they have to be in foreign currency. We saw that the balance of payment statement is divided into two principal accounts. One is current account, one is capital account. Current account is further divided into three principal things. One is trade account, one is trade account, and the other one is the invisibles account. And invisibles has three components: services, transfers, income. Transfers also known as remittances. ठीक है, very good. Then we came to capital accounts. Capital accounts is only two things, which is one is investment and one is borrowings. Okay, very good. So now the question arises is what about when we think about capital account, what do we know about capital account? The question is what is in capital account? In capital account we have transactions which are of a long-term nature, which are of normally huge amounts, and which normally we don't want them to go away. We don't want them to flow out from our country. Okay? So they are called as capital account transactions. I hope you remember the nature, revenue, and capital, and all of those things. Then when we come to current account transactions, there are three parts: there are two parts: trade account and invisibles. Right, trade account, and we also saw about convertibility. So we have full current account convertibility, we have full trade account convertibility, which we granted full trade account convertibility. Then we granted full current account convertibility in 1994, and we became compliant with the IMF conditionalities. It was called as IMF conditionalities. Yes or no? Right. I hope you recollect all these discussions. I'm just picking up bits and pieces from the previous lecture which we have discussed. And how many types of exchange rate systems have we seen? We have seen a fixed exchange rate system. We have seen a floating exchange rate system. Right, fixed is when central banks decide that this should be the exchange rate. Floating is when market decides that what the exchange rate should be. Then we also have something called as a managed float, which we follow in India, and I think rest of the countries also follow managed float. Most of the countries also follow managed float. There is also one more system which is okay. It is good to know, but not that important, called as PEGGED, pegged. It is known as pegged, PEGGED, pegged exchange rate system. Now, what is pegged exchange rate system? Pegged exchange rate system means to peg, PEG. It is not that peg which we have of drinks and all, egg peg and all. It is not that. Pegged means to attach to someone. For example, I'll give you a very simple example. There is a small country. In, let's say, Central America or South America. There is a very small country. It has very less trade. The main trade is with USA and all. So it has its own currency, right? So what it does is, as a part of the exchange rate system, what it does is it will peg the currency, which means it will attach its currency as per the value of the dollar. Which means if dollar moves, my currency will move. If dollar falls, my currency will fall. Okay? So any currency which attaches, or any country which officially attaches its own currency to some other external currency. It can be dollar, it can be any other currency. It can be euro, it can be pound, it can be any other currency. But any country's currency, or any country which attaches its currency to the value of external currency, is called as pegged system. So if today So if today India announces that rupee is pegged to dollars, which means what? If dollar goes up, rupee will also go up. If dollar comes down, rupee will also come down. But that's it. No further analysis is required. What are the pros and cons of this? Why do we need this, etc., etc. It's not that important, not that required. I doubt this will be asked, but just to know that there is a currency system called as pegged rate system or pegged currency system. This is very important. ठीक है, चलो, very good. Now we move on and now we continue to the next part of it, which is we spoke about convertibility, right? What is convertibility? Convertibility means something that is readily convertible in terms of other foreign currency, readily convertible in terms of liquidity is readily converted to money. Convertibility means readily convertible in terms of other foreign currency. So in practical sense, it means that I can take my money inside and I can take my money outside any country I wish. So if USA is, let's say, fully convertible, which means for any kind of transactions, I can deal any kind of transactions with the US or in the US, and I can also take any kind of inflow and outflow, right? We also saw what do we mean by partial convertibility. We also saw what are the restrictions or the kind of restrictions on convertibility, right? Do we have a fully convertible capital account? Yes or no? Do we have a fully convertible capital account? Yes or no? No, we do not have a fully convertible capital account. No, we do not have a fully convertible capital account. What do we have here is, we have restrictions on capital account. Can you tell me any example of restrictions? See, restrictions, remember restrictions, we discussed that they were on account of two types. One was depth, one was spread. Depth means what? To what extent you are allowing foreign funds to come inside or foreign funds to go outside. That is the depth. For example, if you take insurance as a sector, one sector is insurance. If I tell you, now you have to remember what is foreign direct investment. I hope you remember what is foreign direct investment. We have discussed foreign direct investment, we have discussed foreign portfolio investment, and we have discussed foreign institutional investment or foreign institutional investor. They are nothing but big people who either engage into FDI or engage into FPI, whatever. We'll try to recollect what is foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment is when you open your own account, when you invest directly, when you buy land here, when you buy warehouse here, when you set up your own factory, set up your own shop here. That is foreign direct investment. Okay, very good. What do you mean by foreign portfolio investment? You try to operate or you try to own someone else. That is foreign portfolio investment. You try to operate through someone else. Okay, foreign portfolio investment. Foreign portfolio investment. What is a portfolio? I told you what is a portfolio. Portfolio is your collection of shares and any other investment in securities, right? So, or any other investment in assets. So portfolio means your collection of securities. So portfolio investment. So if we took an example of Tesla and Tata, if Tesla invests in shares of Tata and then it tries to control Tata's operations in India, then that will be portfolio investment. But we also saw what is the twist in the kahani. The kahani mein twist was what? The kahani mein twist was if it extends to more than 10%, if it exceeds 10% of FPI, it will be treated as FDI, yes or no? Are you clear with this? I hope you remember all these things. Yes. If it goes more than 10%, then it becomes FDI. If it is less than 10%, it is FPI. What happens if it goes more than 10%, it becomes FDI, and then again it comes back to 10%. What happens if this investment is done? If this investment is done, it will come down and then it will be again treated as FPI. Yes or no? No. It will always remain FDI, foreign direct investment. Once an FDI, always an FDI is the tagline. Okay? Once an FDI, always an FDI is the tagline. Right? Okay. We saw FDI, we saw FPI, we saw FI. These are nothing but institutional investors. So then I was giving you an example of the depth. So for example, if I tell you, for example, that FDI in insurance is allowed, for example, is allowed up to 74% only. What is the meaning of this? It means that in an Indian insurance company, take any insurance company, let's say Reliance Life Insurance Company, FDI, the foreign holding, the proportion of foreign holding cannot be more than 74% of that company. So if Reliance company has 100 shares, then 74 shares maximum can be owned by foreigners or from investors outside India. Rest has to be with the Indians only, right? So this is an example of depth. This is an example of death, because tomorrow if this 74 is reduced to, let's say, 49, or this 74 is increased to, let's say, 95%. So you are just increasing or reducing the depth of allowable FDI, yes or no? See, this is convertibility, because when foreign, so now up to 74% they can flow inside India, they can bring money inside India, yes or no? So they are allowed. But tomorrow, let's say it remains 49 or it becomes 49%. Then what happens? Their flow in India is restricted. Okay? Their flow in India is restricted. So that is what we mean by restrictions on convertibility. This is an example of debt. Now this was inflow wala example. Now what is outflow wala example? Let's say the policy is that once you do an FDI in insurance sector, you are a global investor. So once you do a global investment in the insurance sector, let's say in Indian insurance sector, you cannot withdraw or you cannot sell your stake. For, let's say, 10 years. Iska kya hai? What is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is that you cannot withdraw your investment for 10 years. You cannot take your money away from India for 10 years. You cannot pull out from India for 10 years out of this company, out of this insurance company, right? So this is a type of restriction on withdrawal, or this is a type of restriction on FDI outflow. This is again a debt example only, because for example, if this 10 years is slashed and it is made 5 years, then what you have done? You have done it more difficult, or you have made it easy? You have made it easy. Why? Because it will remain for 5 years only, and like you have to lock it in for 5 years only, and then you can remove out. Simple. You can remove your money out 5 years. Barabar hai? I hope you are understanding this. It's very simple. We are talking about the restrictions on convertibility. We are talking about the ways in which we can attract money and keep them here and not let them fly outside, because we know that we need the money for our development purposes. We need the money for our long-term use as well. And since we are talking about capital account, we also know that there is a restriction on spread also. For example, FDI in insurance is 74%. This is an example of debt. Okay? But let's say we have 100 sectors under which FDI is allowed, right? So that 100 sectors ka spread hai wo. Tomorrow if the sectors become 100 say 120, which means the spread has increased. If the sectors become 100 to 50 or 100 to 60, which means the spread has decreased. So spread is nothing but your horizontal restrictions, or horizontal, you can say how convertible you are on account of horizontal coverage, and depth means how convertible you are on vertical coverage with regards to FDI. Okay? Right? Why we call it as FDI? Because more than 10% FPI automatically becomes FDI. We have seen that. We also saw that FDI has two routes. One is automatic route and second is approval route. Automatic route means if you satisfy the criteria, you don't need to get the approval of your case by the government. Automatically you will be granted the approval. In case of approval route, government will scrutinize you on a case-to-case basis, case-by-case basis, and then if government is satisfied that yes, we require this, then approval route mein chala jayega. For example, if huge or massive investment is coming in one transaction, investment of billions of dollars, then obviously it cannot go under automatic route. It has to go under approval route. For example, if investment from China is coming, now since China is a strategic, you can say on the internal security point of view, it is an enemy. So even if some investment of China is coming in, government will see whether it is to be approved or not to be approved, right? We'll see in the infrastructure chapter how India has blocked Chinese telecom equipment manufacturers from bidding for 5G spectrum. So you know that we have 4G, we use 4G. In some places there is 3G and 2G also, even now in rural areas. But we mostly use 4G internet, and 5G trials are going on. So who will be the ones who will be giving you network services? Vodafone, Idea, Vodafone to ek hai, Vodafone, Idea, Aircel, Jio. You have all these telecom service providers in India who will give you 5G services. Will they need 5G equipment for that also? Will they need 5G towers? Will they need 5G routers? Yes. Now, who are those equipment manufacturers? Are they Chinese companies? Yes or no? If they are Chinese manufacturers, then they are not allowed to supply you the hardware. That is what Indian government is trying to do. We are not allowing Chinese equipment manufacturers to participate in the 5G auction supply. Right? So these are the things which we are trying to do. These are the you can say steps which we are trying to take. So it all depends on geopolitical considerations also. So everything is interconnected. Like, there are connections to one event has 100 ramifications when it comes to policy making, when it comes to governance. So some political action might be affected in your reflected in your economy. Some economic action will affect your international relations. It's all interrelated. Just try to find out the links as much as possible as you can, and you will enjoy reading about these things, and your study or your preparation of UPSC will be a breeze, right? So we saw convertibility, we saw FDI, we saw FPI, we saw DPIIT under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. They also they give the approval. We saw the website also of foreign investment board, right? One-stop window for one-stop clearance, or single window clearance for all the foreign investments which are coming in the country. So we try to attract investments. Why do we don't have any restrictions on current account? Can anyone think of any reason why don't we have any restrictions, or why it is not advisable to have any restrictions on current account? Because it is free trade, na? If you put restrictions on current account, what will happen if you put if you say you cannot trade more than $5 lakh worth of goods? It curtails your right to freedom of business also. It curtails your freedom of giving services. It curtails your freedom of sending money also, remittances. Okay, I hope you know what are remittances. You sending money to someone outside India, or someone outside India sending money to you, inward, outward remittances. So, uस पे restriction लगा के what is the use? Right? All these restrictions I told you, all these capital account, current account, all these records are shown regulated under which act? Can you remember the name of the act which we had discussed? Do you remember the act which we had discussed? Remember, we had discussed something called as Foreign Exchange Management Act, FEMA 1999. Right? So Foreign Exchange Management Act, FEMA 1999 is the act which controls all these transactions and everything. Okay? So more or less you remember these things, and it is required for prelims, only for mains it's okay. And we are talking about, see, in monetary policy, which rate did we talk about? We spoke about interest rates. Yes or no? In fiscal policy, which rates did we speak about? We spoke about tax rates. Yes or no? In balance of payments chapter, which rate are we talking about? We are talking about exchange rate. Okay, we are talking about exchange rate. This is very important. Exchange rate. Exchange rate is very important. You should know about exchange rate. Dollars, pounds, etc. Whatever is the exchange rate, that is the exchange rate we are talking about. Right? Simple process, I will tell you. Simple process. First, we need to recollect, what do importers want? Importer wants to improve, or importer wants the exchange rate to improve or exchange rate to worsen. Now, what do I mean by exchange rate improving and exchange rate worsening? I am talking with respect to rupees. So, does importer want rupee to strengthen, or does importer want rupee to appreciate, or does importer want rupee to revalue, or does importer want rupees to the other side, depreciate or worsen or reduce or weaken or depreciate or devalue? What does the importer want? So we remember that importer always wants the rupee should be as weak as possible. As strong as possible. That importer wants that rupee should be as strong as possible, so that his cost is reduced, so that imports are to be done at a lower price. But exporter wants entirely different or entirely opposite things. Exporter wants rupee to be as weak as possible, so that his goods or Indian goods are priced very low in the global market. When they are priced very low in the global market, everyone will buy those goods, and there is stiff competition in the global market. It is not like the domestic economy. All countries are participating in it. Countries, firms are participating in it, right? So he wants rupee to be as weak as possible. He wants rupee to depreciate as much as possible, so that he is able to sell more and more of its goods at cheaper prices. And he wants everyone in the global market to buy from him. So what RBI does is, it's kind of a balancing act. Too much of it is also bad, and too less of it is also bad. Appreciation, depreciation, right? I'm using the word appreciate, depreciate when I'm talking about dash, when I'm talking about changes about market forces. I hope you remember this. When I'm talking about revaluation and devaluation, then I'm talking about dash, then I'm talking about interventions by government or RBI. See, in this chapter, they are more or less same. RBI has a bigger role, but government makes policies. So you can say कि government and RBI both decide, and then they try to intervene. ठीक है? चलो. Now answer me this. Simple है. Mr. X is from USA. This is India. He wants to invest in India. What will he bring? Will he bring rupees or will he bring dollars? Obviously, he will bring dollars. So who is at the gate? At the gate is RBI. RBI will take these dollars and then RBI will convert them into rupees, and then that rupee goes to investment. Either it is direct investment or portfolio investment, that depends on the quantum. बराबर है, ठीक है? And if it is through an approval route, then बीच में government will also be there, whether clear or not, and then after clearing it will go to RBI and it will go here. ठीक है? This is the simple method that we, or simple way. So someone who is receiving this money in India, he will get rupees in his account, but at the same time we know that his bank, who is having an account with RBI, they will also come into the picture and this gets converted here. Okay, same goes for someone who is sending money outside India. RBI will change or RBI will intervene in the currency. So then we know that RBI has certain foreign, we also saw that RBI has certain foreign forex reserves or foreign exchange reserves. Okay, we'll see why it is important to have such reserves and why it is important to have such huge reserves. Okay, we'll see that. But before that, one question I want to ask you again. Please try to explain this to me, whether you are sitting in home or anywhere you are seeing this. What exactly is convertibility? I hope you have understood what exactly is convertibility. Convertibility is nothing but readily convertible to other currencies without restrictions at market prices. We have seen convertibility ka definition also at market prices. Okay? So if I tell you FDI and insurance is 100% without any lock-in period. You know lock-in period? Lock-in means ki once you invest, you cannot remove that investment for a particular point of time. So if I tell you FDI and insurance is 100% up to a certain lock-in period, what does that mean? FDI and insurance is 100% up to a certain lock-in period. What does that mean? That means ki there are no restrictions when it comes to FDI and insurance sector. Yes or no? No lock-in period also, no outflow restrictions, no inflow restrictions also. Okay? That is what convertibility means. Do we encourage capital account? Now the question is ki we have current account convertibility. What about capital account convertibility? Now you only tell me what are the pros and cons of capital account convertibility. You can say capital account convertibility, pros and cons. What do you think are the pros and cons of capital account convertibility? क्या है? What are the pros and cons? What do you think are if we allow capital account convertibility? I'm not talking about full convertibility. Please bear in mind here. Restrictions are there even on capital account. We are going to speak about them. But I'm telling what are the pros of capital account convertibility. What do you think? So one is that more funds. Of course, you get more funds when you make it convertible. Can I say cheaper funds? Sometimes. So remember capital account has inflow also, and that inflow can be either on account of investment or account of our borrowings also. When Tata Motors borrows from Bank of America, that is also under capital account inflow. Okay? So cheaper funds. Who will get cheaper funds? Who will get more funds? Corporates, Indian corporates, Indian banks, Indian individuals. So when Indian banks get cheaper money, what will happen? They will be able to lend at lower price, yes or no? If Indian bank is getting, if any Indian bank is getting money at a lower rate of interest, if it can borrow out from outside, it can lend it in India at lower rate of interest. So this is definitely a pro, yes or no? Right? Then what about corporates? These corporates, what do they help in? They help in I, yes or no? C plus I plus D plus X minus M. What do they help in? They help in increasing money supply, yes or no? What do they help? Either C or I, depending on their purchase or depending on their expenditure, C or I. ठीक है? Right? Then can I say it helps in building global Indian brands? Sir, how, sir? How does it help in building global Indian brands? So see this. Do you know who is the owner of Jaguar Land Rover? Do you know there is a company called Jaguar Land Rover JLR? Do you know there is a car called Jaguar or there is a car called Land Rover? Have you seen those cars? Okay. They are foreign made cars. They are foreign cars. Do you know who is the owner of them? The owner of JLR, the owner of this foreign company which supplies cars worldwide, Jaguar Land Rover, is Tata Motors. Apna Tata. Apna Indian Tata. There are various Indians. There are various Indian corporates who own many foreign brands. So there is a video on YouTube called Tata Empire. Just see that video on Tata Empire and you will come to know that Tata owns a lot of foreign brands which we don't know, but Indians are the owner. ठीक है? So ऐसा नहीं है कि MNCs are only found in developed countries or are only owned in developed countries. ऐसा नहीं है. Indians also have a lot of multinational companies. Our companies are also multinational. Our companies also own brands which are foreign companies, but then which were taken over by Indian companies. ऐसा भी होता है. So Jaguar JLR was taken over by Tata Motors. So building Indian brands, this money flow also helps in building Indian brands, because why money helps? Because see, what is happening here, inflow or outflow in this case, what is happening if Tata Motors is taking over JLR, what is happening? Is it an inflow or an outflow? It is an outflow. Remember, investing outside. Now Tata is investing outside India because Tata has to buy JLR. So Tata will invest 100% shares. Iska kharidega. Tata will buy 100% shares of JLR. Now when Tata buys 100% shares of JLR, it will be an inflow or an outflow. It will be an outflow. But it will be a capital account or a current account, it will be capital account. Okay? Now if there are restrictions by RBI on this, ki Tata, you cannot invest more than 5 million pounds in any company outside India, up to 5 million pounds only. Maybe he might not be able to buy JLR, or he might be able to buy only a part of JLR, not own completely about it. So that is why we say ki when we relax or when we give convertibility, building global Indian brands becomes easier. Okay? One more very important point I would like to write, very, very, very important, is it prevents Dutch disease. Sir, what is this now? It prevents Dutch disease. I hope Dutch, you know what is Dutch. Dutch is Netherlands. The people of Netherlands are called Dutch people. Okay? Netherlands. They are called Dutch people. So now what is Dutch disease? Let us see, it is very, very not so important, but let me tell you what is Dutch disease. What is Dutch disease? Right? So what happened in Netherlands is that they had convertibility, they had capital account convertibility, and Dutch was known for its, Netherlands were known for its agriculture and tourism and so many industries. So a lot of foreign inflow was coming in, industrialization was happening, everything was good. They had a huge inflow of foreign exchange reserves. So बहुत आ रहा है, पैसा आ रहा है. They had a huge inflow of foreign exchange. And what happened was, there were two things that were happening. What will happen if a lot of foreign exchange will come in the economy? What will happen? If a lot of foreign exchange comes in the economy, what will happen? You will get all the investment, you will get all the money, you can do all your construction and everything. Multinational brands will open in your country, yes or no? So Amazon opened, and Microsoft opened its headquarters, Facebook opened its headquarters, let's say. So all these companies are there. Now what is happening here is ki what will happen to the exchange rate? That is what my question is. Ki what will happen to the exchange rate? When a lot of money comes in, see, inflow हो रहा है, inflow of dollar in Netherlands, ठीक है? Inflow of dollars in Netherlands हो रहा है. What will happen? So Netherlands का currency is guilder. Let us call it G, right? I don't know the symbol for guilder. So what will happen to G? So imagine Netherlands की जगह it is India. If lot of dollars are coming to India, what will happen? If lot of dollars are coming to India, which means in the market, what is happening? Dollar supply is reducing or dollar supply is increasing? If lot of dollars are coming, what will happen? Dollar supply is reducing or dollar supply is increasing? Dollar supply is increasing. When dollar supply increases and let's say rupee supply remains stable, or rupee demand will go up? Yes or no? Supply will go up, rupee demand will go up. Why will rupee demand go up? Because when dollar comes in a country, that currency has to be converted into the home country's currency. So home country ka demand ka currency's demand is increasing. Because lot of dollars are, let's say, coming in. Today 200 crores worth of dollars came in. You will need 200 crores worth of rupees so that those 200 crores worth of dollars are usable in India. What is happening? Dollar supply is increasing because inflow is increasing. Rupees demand is increasing. Why rupees demand is increasing? Because dollar dekhi, rupees are being used. So what will happen to the rate? What will happen to the rate? What will happen to the home currency rate? In our case, it is rupee. What will happen to the home currency rate? Home currency will appreciate or home currency will depreciate? Home currency will what? Shiate to hoga, but appreciate or depreciate? Home currency will appreciate. I hope you are able to get this. Home currency will appreciate. ठीक है? Home currency will appreciate because home currency's demand is increasing and dollar supply. Home currency's demand is increasing and dollar supply is increasing. So dollar's rate will go down. Supply ज़्यादा है, उसका the value of dollar goes down. The value of rupee go up because it is in demand, and that is called as appreciation. Same happened here. Gilder appreciated so much. Gilder appreciated so much. Gilder appreciated so much. And who hates high appreciation? Tell me, who hates high appreciation? Importer or exporter? Who hates high appreciation? Who will feel bad here? Importer or exporter? Exporters. So now exporters became sad. Exporters of which country? Of Netherlands became sad. Why they have become sad? They are crying also. Why they have become sad and they are crying? Because lot of FDI is happening. Not FDI, FDN, foreign direct investment in Netherlands. FDI, foreign direct investment India नहीं. FDI in N. ठीक है? Exporters are crying. Why exporters are crying? Because lot of inflow is happening. Gilder is appreciating. Home currency is appreciating. So now I hope your view on exchange rates, your view on FDI, or your view on foreign funds has changed. Because when we see that a lot of foreign funds are coming in, we are enjoying, yes. But who is crying in the corner? Exporter is crying. Now who are the exporters? It is not one person. Exporters are exporters are Netherlands home industries. Tata Motors, Reliance, all these are exporters, right? They export a lot of products. They trade with the world. They are making India, taking India to a global brand. See, importers are mostly concerned with satisfaction of demands in India. Exporters are mostly concerned with satisfaction of demand outside India. ऐसा नहीं है कि importers cannot buy from India, और ऐसा नहीं है कि exporters cannot sell in India. Exporters can also sell in domestic market. Importers can also buy from domestic market. But main purpose, what is the main purpose of exporters? To take India to a global level, to take India in a global market, to open dukan in a global market. Yes or no? So they are crying. So when exporters cried, what their industry, their home industry did not grow. ठीक है? Home industry, Netherlands का home industry did not grow. It reduced. It led to deindustrialization. I hope you know what is industrialization. Building and spreading and expansion of industries. This led to deindustrialization. Sir, why deindustrialization? Because when exporters are unhappy. Why are exporters unhappy? Because Gilder is appreciating. When Gilder appreciates, what will happen? Exporter के goods का price increases. Yes or no? Exporters goods price increase. When exporters goods price increases, Gilder appreciates. Exporters goods price increase. When exporters goods price increase, due to Gilder appreciating, exporters become sad. Home industry suffers and deindustrialization happens. I hope you are able to get this. This is called as Dutch disease. Too much of anything is bad, yes or no? So too much of foreign inflow is also bad. Too much of foreign inflow is also bad, right? Now, when I say prevent Dutch disease, how does it prevent Dutch disease? Can you tell me how does it prevent Dutch disease? How does convertibility prevent Dutch disease? Anyone? Try to think and tell. I'll give you 30 seconds. You have to think. How does convertibility prevent Dutch disease? How does convertibility prevent Dutch disease? See, Dutch disease, I told you, a lot of foreign inflow comes in. A lot of foreign flow comes in, which results in development. That is very good. But which results in primarily your home currency becoming way too stronger. When your home currency becomes stronger, your exporters cry. Why? Because their products, or let's say Netherlands or Dutch products, value in the global market rises. When the value in the global market or price in the global market rises, nobody buys that because they become expensive, they become costlier, and that is why nobody buys, and then the industry of that country suffers, and that leads to deindustrialization. Okay? So how does convertibility help to prevent Dutch disease? Simple, one word, it helps in balancing. What balancing? It helps in balancing inflow and outflow. It helps in balancing inflow and outflow. So if you have freer convertibility, money will come in, but money also has the scope to go out also, which means that Dutch industries can take over foreign industries, or if foreign investors want to take away their money, they can take away their money, which would help exporters. Okay, how? See, indirectly here. Whenever you think about foreign money coming in, always remember one very important tip I am going to give you. Whenever you think about foreign inflow coming in, whenever you think about Indian inflow going out, whenever you think about foreign inflow which has come in that is going back, always think how it will affect the currency. If you know how it will affect the currency, you are on the right track to study balance of payments. Okay? Always think how it will impact the currency. So when I say inflow and outflow is balanced, so when inflow happened, we saw that when inflow happened, home currency appreciated so much. Okay? When outflow will happen, when there is a lot of dollar outflow, what will happen to take dollars? When you take dollars outside, dollars supply would reduce, the supply of dollars would reduce because now dollars are becoming scarce. And how would you take dollars? By giving gilder. In this case, gilder supply will increase, dollar supply would reduce, or dollars demand would increase, whatever you want to call it. And that is when gilder will again start depreciating. Remember, I am using the words appreciating and depreciating because there is no intervention here. Okay? When this starts depreciating, this will again balance, and exporters might not be that unhappy. They will be just poker face, and then they might be happy as the stage passes. Okay? Now you can argue that importers also will be happy in this stage, and then they will be sad when gilder again starts to depreciate. Yes, of course, that is there. But again, I told you, exporters help bring in money, and importers help take out money, right? So importers should only be encouraged when we don't have an option to make in the country. Yes or no? Right? We don't have an option to make fuel or oil in our country because we don't have that many accessible reserves. Reserves hai, but accessible nahi hai, explorable nahi hai, feasible nahi hai. So that is why we import oil. Right? So unless it is absolutely necessary, you should not encourage imports. You should always encourage exports. Right? So this is how it prevents Dutch disease, by balancing the inflow and outflow. Now, what are the cons of convertibility? Can anyone think of any con? Obviously, the major con of convertibility I hope you can realize, is the instability of funds. आज है कल नहीं है. Instability of funds. I mean, this is the single most dangerous effect on instability. What would this lead to? Volatility of rupee. Yes or no? Will this lead to volatility of rupee? Definitely it will lead to volatility of rupee. Funds are coming in, oh, rupee is appreciating. Funds are going out, rupee is appreciating. Rose rate change. Every day rate is changing. Right? Volatility of funds, which will lead to volatility of rupee. Very important. And what about development? Due to this instability only, development of critical sectors is hampered. Yes or no? Development of critical sectors is hampered. What do you mean by development of critical sectors is hampered? If funds were flowing in freely, development would have happened of the critical sectors also. Sir, what are critical sectors? You can see power generation, railways. We need funds. Like I told you, we need restrictions in them. But not excessive restrictions, right? No allowed only, we will only develop. So might be for our power sector we need new software technology to efficiently allocate power distribution, to minimize the transmission loss and all. But we have not allowed FDI. So foreigners cannot invest, they cannot provide their software and all. So we need it, but depending on the case to case basis. So might lead to development of critical sectors being hampered. And thirdly, East Asian crisis. What is East Asian crisis? It happened in 1997. We are going to discuss that in the economic happenings or major events in economics. We are going to speak in that lecture, in that particular section. So I would just write it, East Asian crisis 1997. And so what happened basically was that a lot of foreign inflow came, and East Asian countries, mainly Thailand, Malaysia, all of them were dependent on foreign flows. So they were using those foreign flows because do you know these countries have a lot of tourists? I hope you know Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, all these countries have a lot of tourists. So tourist matlab kya hota hai? Tourist matlab ki foreigners come, they spend dollars there, they give dollars there, converted into Singapore dollars, and then they spend there. So basically Singapore is exporting tourism services. It is an export because it is gaining money, it is giving service to foreigners. So they were depending on a lot of foreign funds which were coming in the way, which were coming from the tourism sector. But what happened was due to some problem in Thailand, it started with Thailand, its currency Thai baht, THAI, Thai, BAHT, baht. It collapsed due to some reason. We'll see that in the chapter. But due to some reason it collapsed, and then there was a financial domino effect. Have you seen dominoes? Not pizza, but dominoes means wo chota tiles rehta hai, and then you just flick one of it and the entire thing goes on falling. वो एक के ऊपर एक ऐसे tiles रहते हैं ना, this ऐसा छोटा एकदम small. So you just tip one of them, everything goes on falling ऐसा पूरा line में. Those are known as dominoes, right? So there was a domino effect, which means that Thailand's currency crashed, Singapore's currency crashed, Malaysia's currency crashed, etc., etc. And foreign flows were taken away from these East Asian countries. Foreign flows were taken away. Now, when foreign flows are taken away, what will happen? The remaining economy was in ruins because they did not develop their domestic industry itna कि they were dependent on foreign flows only. So, East Asian crisis like scenario is one of the con of convertibility, because if you allow foreign flows to come in and go out, had there have been restrictions on foreign funds to go out from Thailand, maybe its currency wouldn't have crashed, or maybe the effect wouldn't have passed to other countries. But because they were freely allowed to pull out the money, then this thing, East Asian crisis like scenario, might happen. This happened in 1997, East Asian crisis. India was not that affected East Asian crisis में, because we had just opened up our economy. अभी तो आए हो, बाहर बन के छाए हो. 1991 LPG reforms, 1994 we made current account fully convertible. So we were still shielded, and I told you RBI has always been shielding India from the external shocks which are given by foreign investors. Okay. So we saw the pros and cons of convertibility. Now my question is, do we have capital account convertibility in India? Yes, we do have capital account convertibility. Do we have full capital account convertibility? No, we do not have full capital account convertibility. Right? Now I want you to recollect and tell me, what do you mean by this? LERMS. We had discussed this. Please try to remember this. We had discussed this. What do you mean by LERMS? Do you recollect what do we mean by LERMS? Liberalized Exchange Rate Management System. Do you recollect? Try to recollect. Liberalized Exchange Rate Management System, LERMS. Okay? Now I'm going to tell you something. Please do not confuse it with this, because it is a similar term. That is why iske baaju mein hi I am writing. Okay? So we have a limit of $250,000. Okay? $250,000 tak we can spend our money up to $250,000 in outside India in any currency. $250,000 bola hai because it's a common currency, so we measure all the expenses and incomes in terms of dollars. So individuals like us, you, me, we are allowed to spend up to $250,000 in a year. in a year. ठीक है, individuals, remittances हो, कुछ भी हो, you want to take loan and all, whatever, $250,000 in a year you are allowed to. उसके ऊपर if you want then you will need RBI approval. उसके ऊपर if you want you will need RBI permission. This system is called as LRS. This system is called as LRS. Just give me a minute. Where was I? This system is called as LRS. It gives you a limit of up to $250,000. This is called as liberalized remittance system or scheme. LRS. Please do not confuse it with LERMS. This is liberalized exchange rate management system. Completely different. RBI following a partially floating policy here. I hope you remember earlier it was 100% fixed. Then we said that only 40% would be fixed, 60% would be on the official exchange rate, and then we went to completely floating. This was that us part. This is talking about that part. This is liberalized remittance system. Any individual for his purposes can send up to $250,000 in a year. ठीक है, liberalized remittance system. This scheme is known as this facility is known as liberalized remittance system. And of course, कहाँ दिया होगा? Where it is given? It is given under Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999. I hope you are getting this. I hope you are able to understand this. These are keywords which you know have to be explained in isolation because these are specific topics. LERMS, LRS. These are all small topics which do not have any big, larger relevance or big analytical importance. But we have to know these terms. ठीक है? Right? Next. Now I asked you, do we have? So can we say कि current account is fully convertible? Fully convertible, but with certain restrictions. Example LRS. Getting it? Current account fully convertible, except with certain small restrictions. For example, LRS. Capital account partially convertible because we don't have full capital account convertibility. There are many countries which have full capital account convertibility with certain restrictions. I told you restrictions never go away. It is not unconditional, unlimited. No country has current account, capital account, unconditional, unrestricted convertibility. But when we tell full capital account or full current account convertibility, it means that the restrictions are very exceptional in nature. The restrictions are very minute in nature. The restrictions are very are triggered under very extreme situations or extreme circumstances. They are not triggered. They are not at all triggered under normal circumstances. But when we speak about partial capital account convertibility, the restrictions are big. The restrictions are there in the mainframe. The restrictions are there in the mainstream system of the policy. Okay. So India has full capital account convertibility, but we know that secret with certain restrictions like LRS, and we know that capital account has partial convertibility. So now the question is, should we allow full capital account convertibility? Yes or no? Should we allow full capital account convertibility? Does it make sense to have full capital account convertibility? We saw the pros and cons. So for India, what is to be done? So many economists say that there need to be certain preconditions for that. Preconditions कुछ होने चाहिए. There have to be these preconditions have to be fulfilled. So what do you think? Let us try to make it more analytical now. What is the risk in capital account convertibility? That they might come and go back. Okay, coming in is less risk because we import a lot of things, so our dollars will flow out. Don't worry. With respect to India, I am saying there is a very less probability of we facing a chance of Dutch disease because we import a lot, so our dollars flow out also. So inflow aa raha hai to aane do. We will, automatically it will flow. So no need to have any controls over it. But the problem with capital account convertibility is that it will come is not a problem for India. I hope you are getting this. Coming of foreign money Unlike the Dutch disease, coming of foreign money for India is not a problem. Going out immediately or in a very haphazard manner or in a very speculative manner is a problem. ठीक है, आज है कल नहीं है ऐसा. So now when funds flow in, we want them to stay in. Either you can have restrictions, which means your convertibility goes for a toss. Partial है या restrictive convertibility है. Or what is the other scenario wherein you can make the funds stay in India without having restriction? Think and tell me. Is there any scenario, is there any way through which you can keep those funds in India? Is there any way through which you can keep those funds in India without having any restrictions? Think and tell. See, this is what UPSC is all about. You have to think. I told you the concept, I gave you a little bit of analysis also. कि you can either restrict them, very good, वो तो restrict कर ही सकते हो, forcefully you can say, but when you restrict them, always know that whenever there are restrictions, the number of foreign investment flowing in automatically reduces because they know कि who will keep here for 10 years fixed? I will not. But when they know कि it is free, anytime you can withdraw, they will definitely come. Now when they come, you don't have any restriction because that is why they have come. So what is it that will make them stay? See, foreign direct investment, foreign flow is like a very superficial relationship. Relationship होता है ना, girlfriend boyfriend और boyfriend और girlfriend, right? So relationship ये superficial relationship जैसा है. This is a very superficial relationship. The moment something becomes unattractive or the moment interest खत्म हो जाता है, they go away. समझा? Foreign inflows are like superficial people who get into relationship only for looks or for money. You know, we have seen a lot of examples in movies and all. ऐसा होता है ना, वो बोलते हैं कि अरे he is only interested in her looks or she is only interested in her money, ऐसे. So same goes for foreign direct investment. The moment they come inside because India is very attractive. The moment there is some problem, they will go out. So how would you make that foreign investment stay? How would you make him or her stay in this superficial relationship? Superficial है, कुछ कर नहीं सकते. How would you make them stay? Either one, restriction डाल दो. You put restriction, don't go. Sign a will, you will not go. है ना? Second way is to keep India attractive. As far as India is attractive, they will come. Yes or no? As far as India is attractive, they will stay. Yes or no? As far as India is attractive, more people will come and more people will stay. Yes or no? Now, how to keep India attractive? Are we talking about India's looks or beauty? No. Are we talking about natural beauty? No. We are talking about economic beauty. Yes or no? Now, what is economic beauty? You tell me. Economic beauty are good indicators. Economic beauty is what will appeal to them. Economic beauty is what will attract them and they will come here. So, can I say what will attract them? चलो क्या होगा? What will attract them? We are trying now to hold them in India without any restrictions. To hold foreign investors in India without any restrictions. ठीक है? So what are the preconditions? Very first preconditions, can I say fiscal deficit should be less? Why, sir? Fiscal deficit should be less. See, if fiscal deficit is high, will you invest in any country with high fiscal deficit? You know that it is not. See, fiscal deficit being high shows that either government is unable to manage its revenue side or manage its expenditure side. फालतू खर्चा हो रहा है या तो earning is not happening properly. That is why it is fiscal deficit. That is why fiscal deficit is happening, right? Moreover, if they come to India, if they invest money in India and they see that there is a high fiscal deficit, they know that there is a possibility of crowding out. So when they will go to borrow from SBI, they know that tomorrow government can be the biggest borrower and I will have to borrow at high rate of interest. So they will not come, or even if they come, they will go away. So fiscal deficit has to be low to keep India attractive, to keep them here, to keep them steady inside. Second, similarly, we know that NPA should be less. Yes or no? NPA should be less. Okay, because again, NPA will push up interest rates. High NPA will push up interest rates because high NPA will lead to lesser money supply in the economy because recovery nahi ho raha hai. When recovery is not happening, how will you give it to someone else? the same money as loan. Yes or no? Right? So when NPA is high, interest rate would also increase because money supply reduces and the remaining money's price would go up, it will increase. Again, it will be unattractive for foreign investors. Third, inflation should be low. Inflation should be low. What does high inflation indicate? See, they are coming here to do business. They are investing in India to do business. They are investing in India to gain some returns. If inflation is high, they will have very high raw materials. If inflation is high, they will know that people do not have purchasing power. If inflation is high, they know that I don't have many customers here, so they will go away. Are you understanding? These are the prerequisites, you can say, regarding there's one more. Inflation low matlab kya? We know, we have seen in inflation chapter that some inflation is actually good, some inflation is necessary for the economy. So low kya aa gaya? I would just write ki moderate is okay. Low means when I'm saying low here, it doesn't mean ki too high. I'm just saying ki moderate level of inflation. Adequate forex reserves. Adequate forex reserves kyun chahiye? Adequate forex reserves. Why are adequate forex reserves required? It shows that whenever India will face any external balance of payment crisis or any external shock, India is a resilient economy. It will not affect the value of currency. Okay? It will not control the value of currency. It will not lead to revalue or devalue the currency. So RBI will not intervene. It is all market based because it has adequate forex reserves. RBI is able to fight off the external shock. So it is a resilient economy, which is a good economy. Okay? And lastly, interest rates. Now I would give special consideration to the interest rates. This is what attracts them the most. This is what attracts foreign direct investment the most. Remember, I had told you that remember in taper tantrums I had discussed in USA if the rate is 4% and in India they are giving 8%, where will they come? They will come to India. I hope you remember this. USA means the rate of interest in USA was 4% and India was giving 8% rate of interest. So all foreign investment was flowing to India. Yes or no? So interest rate is the heart of FDI. Okay? Interest rate is the heart of FDI. Right? This is what is attractive to them. This is what is very attractive. But they also know that if interest rates are too high, I will not find customers. I will get high interest from bank when I keep money in bank. I will not find customers because interest rate is too high because I am foreign direct investment, I am a depositor. But when I borrow money, interest rate is high. When customers borrow money, interest rate is high. Customers are borrowing money to become my customer. They are not able to do so. So interest rate also has to be moderate. These are the prerequisites. Normal preconditions. Nobody said that these are there. These are generally agreed by economists. Now coming to the most important part. We had set up a committee. ठीक है? Which committee? We had set up a committee in 1997. जब वहाँ पे when did we grant full current account convertibility? We granted full current account convertibility in 1994. We set up a committee and committee gave its recommendations in 1997 called as very important committee from this chapter, very important committee called Tarapur Committee. Very important committee called Tarapur Committee. Right? Now this Tarapur Committee gave recommendations. This is Tarapur Committee 1. There was another time this committee was also set. They gave the recommendations, very important. They gave 3 recommendations. First, fiscal deficit should be less. We know all that. Yes, very good. Second, see this, inflation should be moderate, yes or no? Inflation should be in the range of 3 to 5%. उन्होंने तभी के टाइम से दिया है 1997. They said कि inflation should be in the rate of 3 to 5%. And the third and very important recommendations, we already know that NPA should be less. तभी भी था NPA, don't worry. तभी भी everything was there. ठीक है, these were the recommendations of Tarapur committee. Then I told you something happened in 1997. I hope you are able to recollect. Something happened in 1997. East Asian crisis happened, and we were scared. We said कि नहीं capital account convertibility तो we don't want. मतलब ठीक है, we said we committee बिठाई थी. We told them कि give recommendations. FD should reduce inflation 3 to 5%. NPA should reduce, etc. Very good. We agree. But 1997 immediately East Asian crisis happened because of convertibility being easier or being fuller convertibility. We said कि shelve this. We said कि नहीं चाहिए, we don't need this, right? Then but still what we did was कि we did some we said कि instead of full capital account convertibility, we will give some relaxations. So some examples I am giving you. You only see how they are relaxations. Some examples of capital account convertibility. Always remember, we are not talking about full convertibility here. Nowhere we are mentioning full convertibility, but just some relaxations, some chota sa relaxations. FEMA was brought in 1999. I had already told you, Foreign Exchange Regulation Act se Foreign Exchange Management Act ho gaya. That is in itself a big thing. FEMA was brought in 1999. We introduced the automatic route for investments. Okay, we introduced automatic route for investments. Okay, if you are fulfilling this criteria, jane do. Go inside, right? See this. No ECB approval up to a value. What do I mean by that? What is ECB? Try to recollect. What is ECB? Do you know what is ECB? Not JCB. What is ECB? Do we know what is ECB? External commercial borrowings. Who takes loans? What is ECB? Who takes loans here? External है, बाहर से लिया है. Commercial borrowings. Private company, corporation. Right? Commercial, not government. See, government company can also come, but not government. Government company can come, but not government. Borrowing. No approval up to a value, which means we are liberalizing, basically we are liberalizing inflows. Yes or no? Simple hai. We are liberalizing inflows. Yes or no? Up to a value, obviously up to a value. $10 crore डॉलर अगर लोन ले लिए तो कैसे चलेगा? ठीक है. Now obviously what will be liberalized more? Would inflows be liberalized more than outflows, or outflows be liberalized more than inflows? Obviously inflows liberalized more than outflows. Obvious. Outflows को तो नहीं रखना है, but inflows we want to liberalize because we need that money. LRS was introduced. I told you it was introduced under FEMA. LRS was introduced up to $250,000, right? And liberal FPI policy, liberal FDI policy. Liberal FPI policy है, right? So all these are the conditions, all these are the considerations which were made after all these were after 1997 all these things were discussed. All these things were said कि we need to do this to attract foreign investment. Always remember 1990s की बात, 1999, 2000, early 2000s की बात चल रही है. There was .com boom, internet was booming, Indian software companies were exporting a lot of software, so we needed all these things. And at that era, we liberalized our inflows more than outflows. At that era, a lot of money started coming in. At that era, a lot of call centers were opened in the early 2000s, 2005, 2004 के आसपास. That era, so many things kept on happening. Remember, our GDP was growing at a very high rate in 2004. I hope you remember the Indian Express article in the early 2003, 2004. I told you it was very high. 2004 was the highest GDP growth rate. This was all because of these. Do you think it happened automatically? It happened due to these things. It happened due to India being more attractive to foreigners. And the key question of this committee was again how to keep it attractive. So attractive to bana diya, but how to keep it attractive? Okay? So foreign investment started coming in, growth started happening, GDP was growing, we were very happy, others were very happy. Okay? Confidence तो बहुत है Indians में. Come 2006, फिर से बिठाई कमिटी on full capital account convertibility. फिर से कमिटी बिठाई. Again we said कि अरे आओ बैठो, we are flying high, we are confident. Let us see whether it is possible or not. First recommendation, fiscal deficit कम कीजिए, of course. Second deficit, ease ECB limits. Whatever we have done already, ECB limits, reduce them further. Limits ko just try to scrap away the limits. Just try to ease those limits, right? The full capital account convertibility should be done in a phased manner. Should be done in a phased manner. ऐसा नहीं कि आज सोए tomorrow notes banned. Don't do that. Do it in a phased manner, little by little. Very, very, very important. See this, crucial. Very, very, very important. Establish. You will say, oh sir, क्या बोला है ये? Establish monetary policy committee. Establish monetary policy committee, which we have done in 2015-16, was recommended 10 years ago in 2006. Establish monetary policy committee. And fifth is ban promissory notes. I'll write in full form also. सर ये promissory notes क्या होते हैं सर? I will teach you in markets chapter in depth about promissory notes. Just knowing the concept is more than enough. I'll tell you this. See this. This is India. This is foreign institutional investor. I hope you know foreign institutional investor, big investor from outside coming to India, going to invest money. Foreign institutional investor coming to India. ठीक है? He is investing money. बराबर है? Now, where is he getting? So he is a company. Let's say XYZ company. Where is he getting the money from? Where is he getting the money to invest in India from? He is obviously issuing shares to someone. So he is also issuing some receipts to someone. Whoever wants to invest in India, you can buy. Let's say you can buy receipts for $10, $50, $100, $120, $500. So starting from $10 to $500, you can invest, and then that company or that entity will invest in India. ठीक है? Portfolio investment होगा. Mainly तो portfolio investment होगा. Why? Because if he is opening a shop, then these will be shareholders and they will be all transparent. But the problem here is that the identity of these people are not known to India. See, the identity of these people are not known to India. Okay? When FDI is happening, FDI में क्या होता है? He is coming here, he is opening his own shop. So he will also have his shareholders, he will also have these people. But for FDI, we know that when he is coming to India, so many things, so many documents would be required. But FPI is less than 10% investment, which means that every day thousands of transactions happen for inflow and thousands of transactions happen for outflow also. So you don't have the time to check the documents, you don't have the time to give eligibility and everything. So when FPI is being done in India by an FII, by someone who is issuing some instruments, some securities to individual investors to invest in India. These securities, each and every one of these securities are called as promissory notes. Sorry, promissory, not promissory. This is what happens when you have similar sounding words. Participatory notes, not promissory notes. Promissory notes are entirely different. My fault. They are known as participatory notes. Why participatory? Look at the English. Participatory. You participate in the investment which is happening to India. I will explain this in. We'll discuss this a bit more in markets chapter also. But just for now, the crucial thing you should know is that Inca identity is not known. Now, is it good or bad for Indians? So, can I say this vehicle is just a pass-through or a tunnel? Because ultimately, these are the investors. Inca money is being put in India, but India only knows that XYZ company is investing in India. But who is behind XYZ? Real villain kaun hai? Who is the actual villain? That they are not able to ascertain. So, obviously, who will buy participatory notes? Those who want to hide something. Who will want to hide something? Illegal money, terrorist money, money of Indians, round tripping. I hope you remember round tripping. Indian money going outside, then coming back to India. Round tripping, showing as a foreign investment. Oh, very good. Foreign investment. Enjoy. Restrictions khatam. Right? So that is why they said ki ban promissory notes, because it is a crucial risk to Indians also. Ki we don't know where the money is coming from. We don't know how long it will last. We don't know ki if it goes away, whom will we catch? Because we don't know the identity of the people. These are the recommendations of Tarapore 2, or you can say Tarapore Committee 2nd on full capital account convertibility. Again, 2008 mein what happened? Global economic recession happened in 2008. We have spoken about it earlier also. When global economic recession happened in 2008, we said ki khatam, no plan, we are scared, please stop this. ठीक है? So, as of now, the recommendations are there. We have this. We are trying on this. We have increased the regulation. So now what happens is these people also have to register with India. Now, currently, these people also have to register with India, with SEBI, because after all, investments is looked after by SEBI and all. So they have to come to India and they have to give KYC. You know KYC? KYC was also introduced in some 2005-06 only after this. So know your customer forms, they also have to submit know your customer forms to India. Okay? So they also have to go to India. We have established MPC. Phased manner mein we are trying to bring, we are doing as a part of fiscal policy. So we are in various stages of implementing this, but yes, full capital account convertibility has yet not been achieved. So whether it is required or not required, that you have to decide, that you have to, both pros and cons of everything. You know why it is required, why it is not required. You can make an informed decision. You can make an informed opinion accordingly. And UPSC notification says that you should have an opinion on conflicting socio-economic issues. These are the conflicting socio-economic issues they talked about. So this is another dilemma. How much should be the exchange rate? How much should be the convertibility policy restrictions? At what level should you stop accepting inflow, or at what level should you restrict the outflow? At what level are you comfortable with the outflow or the inflow coming in? So this is also another consideration. So we see that in every chapter we are faced with some dilemma, and in every chapter we say that this is what makes the job of economists difficult. ठीक है? बराबर है? Are you agreeing with this? I hope you are. Very good. We'll continue. So now I'm going to teach you something very interesting. India's forex reserves. क्या है इंडिया के forex reserve में? What is there in India's forex reserves? So before that, let me show you the flow. Very important concept I am teaching. Let me show you the flow. We have current account where we have inflow. Now speak in dollar terms. Only dollars, we're talking about dollars. We have outflow. When will outflow of dollars happen? When we are importing. When will inflow of dollars happen? When we are exporting. Simple. Please pay attention here. Very important concept I'm going to teach you now. ठीक है? Now, जब तक inflow is more than outflow, what do we call it as? If inflow is more, we call it as surplus. Current account. Outflow is more, we call it as deficit. Very good. Let us say there is CAD. CAD is current account deficit. It is called as CAD. It is current account deficit. ठीक है? Now, which means you imported $1,000 worth of goods, but you are exporting only 800 worth of goods, right? 200 is your deficit, yes or no? Because import outflow हो गया है, so you have to pay this 1000. देना तो है. Where will the dollars come from? See, this is all in dollars now. Rupees भूल जाओ, forget rupees. Where will these $200 come from? So then you open you flip the page and you see कि capital account में surplus है क्या? Is there a surplus in capital account? So I hope capital account also, you know, there is an inflow and outflow, investment borrowings depending whether. So if there is a surplus of, let's say, $300, ठीक है? You are easily able to meet the deficit of $200, yes or no? You are able to meet the deficit of $200, yes. What if the surplus is of only $120 or there is a deficit in capital account? Chalo, deficit bhi maan liya, right? Or what if there is a deficit? So minus $500. What will happen in this scenario? 120, 200, 80 rupees still deficit, or 500 deficit, 200 deficit, 700 deficit हो गया total. अब कहाँ से आएंगे dollars? First you saw कि deficit है, because this is day to day, so you require to settle these transactions. So supplier will not give you more than 20-30 days to settle. So you need to require to settle. See, जब तक surplus है, very fine. When you run a deficit, you come to capital account and you see कि वहाँ पे है क्या कुछ? So then you see कि वहाँ पे तो deficit है, surplus है. If it is covering the 200, then it is fine, no problem. But if there is a deficit, 120, 200, or minus 500 and 200 deficit, if you are running a deficit, then what? कहाँ से आएगा पैसा? Then the third stage comes. Who is coming to the rescue? This is the first stage. This is the second stage. Third stage is, pay attention here, Forex reserves. Forex means foreign exchange. Reserves means जो reserve रखा है. We all have something reserved, right? People keep money reserves in their homes or in the bank account. They have a separate bank account which is only tapped in case of emergency, right? We have reserves in our fridge. You know, एकदम ही कोई कुछ नहीं है खाने के लिए, तभी bread निकलेगा, otherwise नहीं निकलेगा. So we have a lot of things here. So similarly, here RBI does a lot of things, and the main important part is forex reserves. So once you have a deficit here, or it spills over to here, or let's say there is no deficit here, there is deficit here, there is surplus here. So you will try to pull some money from this surplus to fulfill this deficit. Point being, इसके बाद भी अगर deficit बचता है, out of all these two transactions, if there is a deficit, then it has to be met by forex reserves. Yes or no? It has to be met by forex reserves. This is what makes forex reserves very important. Now my question is, what if forex reserves are also not sufficient? What if forex reserves are also not sufficient? Then what happens? Very important concept I am trying to teach you. Very, very, very important concept. If forex reserves are also not important, what will happen? So you went from here to here, here to here, and here say you are going here. If forex reserves are also not enough, or let's say RBI doesn't want to use that forex reserves. You have forex reserves of $300 billion, let's say. RBI doesn't want to use that reserves because RBI wants to say कि I need these reserves for my own for my other works. So no, I will not. What will happen? Dollar कहाँ से आएगा? Where will you come? Where will you come? Dollar, where will you come from? Then you finally buy dollars. Yes or no? You means RBI. You buy dollars. From where? From forex market. Very interesting. Now, when you buy from forex market, what happens when you buy from forex market? Can anyone try to take a guess? What happens when you buy from forex market? What happens when you buy from forex market? Chalo batao. What happens exactly when you buy from forex market? When you buy from forex market, demand for dollar goes up, and kya dena padega? We will have to sell rupees. So supply of rupees goes up. What will happen to the currency? What will happen to the rupee? Please tell me now. Please tell me now. What will happen to the rupee? Will it appreciate, depreciate, devalue, revalue? Kya hoga? This is due to market forces. We are not trying to set an artificial exchange rate here. We are just trying to buy dollars because we want to fulfill the obligations already incurred under current account or capital account. So now we call it, or now when rupee the supply is increasing, dollars demand is increasing, we need dollars, we are in need of dollars, rupee then finally depreciates. Yes or no? This is what happens when you read in the newspaper, rupee is depreciating. This is the fourth stage of cancer, depreciating. Who will be happy? Always think, whenever you read about exchange rate increase, decrease, always think who will be happy, who will be sad, who will be happy, who will be sad. Okay? Who will be happy when rupee depreciates? Exporter happy, importer not happy. Okay? Rupee depreciates. What if you are not able to buy from forex market because your rupee is already depreciated a lot? Extreme situation में हम जा रहे हैं. We are going in extreme situation now. Extreme situation now. Fifth, what will happen? Sovereign debt crisis, SDC, sovereign debt crisis. Sir, what is the meaning of sovereign debt crisis? Sovereign debt crisis means, we had discussed this sovereign debt crisis in the earlier lectures, in the, I think, fiscal policy lectures. We had discussed this when we were speaking about debt. Remember, we had a lecture on called All About Debt. Tabhi I had told you, when we are not able to repay foreign loans in foreign currency, then it is called as sovereign debt crisis. When we are not able to repay foreign loans in foreign currency, when we are not able to repay the foreign loans in foreign currency, it is called as a sovereign debt crisis. Yes or no? When we are not able to repay foreign loans in foreign currency, it is called as a sovereign debt crisis. So when we have a sovereign debt crisis, obviously what will happen? What are the effects? Our credit rating goes down. FDI, FPI goes down, funds go out, we default on loans, economic instability. Do you agree with this? Yes or no? Very quickly tell me. You will get this PPT, don't worry. Do you agree with this? buy from forex market, dollar demand increasing, rupee supply increasing, rupee depreciates, sovereign debt crisis happened. These are the stages. So when you run a deficit here, it might percolate into capital account deficit, it might again percolate into forex reserves. If your forex reserves are not sufficient, or if you don't want to use your forex reserve currently, then you have to buy dollars from market. When you go to the market, your rupee depreciates. When that goes to an extreme extent, then you will have a sovereign debt crisis, which ultimately leads to economic instability, which in extreme situations leads to monetary collapse. Your economy collapses. Okay, then you need bailouts, and then you need help from IMF and all of that. Again, 1991 all over again. है ना? So now where do you think we should intervene? Obviously, we should intervene at this stage, but this is very, very important. We should have sufficient forex reserves. Do you agree? We should have sufficient forex reserves. Okay? Because this might not be in our hands entirely, this is in our hands entirely. So when we speak about India's forex reserve, when we speak about India's forex reserves, what are we talking about here? India's forex reserves mean what is there inside India's forex reserves? क्या है? What do you think? Foreign currency होगा, dollar होगा, pound होगा, whatever. Various currencies, dollar, pound, euro, yen, whatever, etc. Foreign currencies. In Polish terms, it is called as foreign currency assets. FCA. Asset में assets. FCA, foreign currency assets. Very fancy. Second, once foreign currency means this is currency notes, this is currency. Foreign investments or foreign securities, other foreign securities. So you might not have currency note of $10, but you will have a bond worth $10 of US government and all. You are an investor and all. So foreign securities. Third, you will have gold. Gold तो gold है, ठीक है? Very important, special drawing rights. Sir, what is special drawing rights? Please wait for 2 more lectures, you will come to know. Special drawing rights of IMF. This is basically IMF का currency. IMF is International Monetary Fund. It is an international organization which helps economies to streamline their monetary policies, to ensure macroeconomic stability of the world is the main objective of IMF. So special drawing rights, SDRs of IMF. Fourth, okay? So this is also there. And fifth is IMF का ही reserve tranche or gold tranche, also called as gold tranche. So ये दोनों IMF के ही है. In fact, in many books you will find that these are clubbed under one head. I have written it separately because the nature is little bit different. कभी रब हो जाता है क्या पता ही नहीं चलता है. So these are 5 things. Mainly India's forex reserve comprise of these 5 things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So reserve tranche is nothing but India's reserves with IMF. So currency है. It is in the form of currency only. So India has pledged, let's say, some rupees or some dollars with IMF, which in extreme situations IMF will give back to India कि आपका ही है, it is your only, you have kept it with us for emergency situations. That is reserve tranche. This is the currency of IMF, which every country gets depending on its contributions, depending on its quotas and all. Okay? Gold foreign securities. In the last lecture, I told you that we have approximately $580 billion. So this is actually a stale news. This was the case 2 weeks back before recording this lecture. So probably when you see it, the figure will be different. As of now, the figure is around $610 billion. India's forex reserves, I'll write it in the last screen only. It's better. India's forex reserves are, as on today, they keep on changing. As on today, they are around $610 billion. $610 billion, just imagine. Right? And we are the fourth largest country in terms of foreign reserves. We have the fourth largest forex reserves, you can say. Any guesses who is the first? Any guesses, random guesses? Who is the first? China? USA नहीं है, सोचो. Why USA नहीं है? Because it has dollar as its currency. उसका currency ही reserve है. China, Japan, and here comes the dark horse, Switzerland, and then India. Actually, then EU आता है, and then India comes. So fourth largest country. But since EU is not a country but a group of countries, you can say if EU is included, we are fifth largest. If EU is not included, we are fourth largest. समझा? Basic, not relevant at all, but just for the sake of clarity. So these are the components of India's forex reserves. Please do not confuse it with the components of India's external debt. Debt is loans from various sources: multilateral borrowings, bilateral borrowings, external commercial borrowings from World Bank, IMF, international institutions, all of that. This is what RBI has in its tijori. It has a lot of foreign currency assets, it has a lot of foreign securities, it has gold. So, इसमें से 90% is foreign currency. ये सब बहुत कम है, very less compared to the total 610 billion. FCA is constituted 80-90% आराम से. Majority is FCA only, foreign currency assets. It keeps on changing. Tomorrow, if RBI buys more and more of gold or more and more of foreign securities, obviously this percentage would come down and this percentage would go up. But majority ratio is of foreign currency assets only. Right? Do we want to read some article on any article which we can find on the internet? Okay, let us check. India forex reserves पे कोई article है क्या? Do we have any article on India's forex reserves? Let us try to read this article. Let us try to analyze this article. Why RBI's holding of forex reserve over currency concerns will be counterproductive. Let us try to analyze now. We know the concepts. I am sure I have taught you the concepts. I am sure you have understood the concepts. Right? RBI's dollar reserves stand at 608 billion. So I told you it was 610, around 610. RBI's reserve stands at 608 billion, making India the fifth. This was 25th June का article, ना? So पीछे का है. Making the fifth largest reserve holding currency in the world. Fifth largest because I told you it is EU which is coming in between. The Reserve Bank of India's foreign exchange reserves have been increasing sharply, suggests new data. Since April 2020, the RBI dollar reserves have grown by over 100 billion to now 608 billion, making India the fifth largest reserve holding country in the world. The central bank has justified its forex intervention by talking about reserve adequacy. It has been argued that the RBI does not hold more than 15 months of import cover. Do we know what is import cover here? 15 months of import cover. I hope we understand what is import cover. 15 months of import cover. Central bank has justified its forex intervention by talking about reserve adequacy. It has been argued that RBI does not hold more than 15 months of import cover. Import cover, huh? While some countries hold more. Switzerland, Japan, Russia, China hold more reserves than India, and their import covers are 39, 22, 20, 16 months respectively. See this Russia thing, this keeps on shifting. Fourth, fifth, बीच में India आते रहता है, you know, India, Russia. So here we are fifth country wise because Russia is more, but if we increase it by a little bit also, we might become fourth also. So Switzerland, Japan, Russia, China hold more reserves than India, and import covers are 39, 22, 20, 16 months respectively. We hold 15 months of import cover, right? So far so good. However, over the last 2 decades, RBI's forex intervention has been motivated by concerns about currency movements, right? So many ads. क्या चल रहा है? कहाँ read करेंगे? Where will we read? Eye on currency but conflict with inflation targeting. See, I hope you are able to understand what they are trying to say. I am not explaining the things. I hope you are able to appreciate them on your own. The recent increase in reserves has been prompted by an attempt to prevent large rupee appreciation. Did you understand this? The recent increase in reserves has been prompted by an attempt to prevent large rupee appreciation. I'll just, it's very good. Recent increase in reserves has been prompted by an attempt to prevent large rupee appreciation. In June 2020, rupee dollar exchange rate stood at 75 while now it is at around 72. Small appreciation. Intervention helped prevent a larger appreciation. Now why don't we want appreciation? Not only does such currency manipulation, we are manipulating currency, ऐसा हो रहा है, because we are buying dollars. We want to prevent appreciation of rupee. So we want to buy dollars. We want to weaken our rupee. We want to stop our rupee from getting stronger. So we want to prevent the appreciation. So we are buying dollars. So the dollars demand increases, rupee supply increases, and then rupee becomes a little bit lesser appreciative or little bit weaker or depreciates. Not only does such currency manipulation invite the ire of other nations, it is costly as it is inflationary. How it is inflationary? Because remember, when we are trying to stop the appreciation, we are trying to make exporters happy. But when we make exporters happy, who becomes unhappy? Importers. So we import a lot of things. So when dollar rate or when rupee depreciates or less appreciates, things become more costly, imports become more costly, fuel becomes more costly, gold becomes more costly, oil becomes more costly, and it brings with it inflation. क्या लेके आता है वो अपनी साथ? It brings inflation with itself. Moreover, if there is a serious speculative attack on the currency, speculation means, I'll explain the word speculation here. Speculation means अंदाज लगाना, to just speculate कि क्या होगा. You don't have any mathematical or you don't have any factual analysis for that. Speculation means just to predict what will happen. For example, if there is a cricket match today, so bettors, online gamblers or betting who indulge in these activities, they speculate who will win. See, they do their analysis and everything, but ultimately it is a game of chance, right? In the end, you cannot predict what will happen. We have seen India winning from almost impossible situations, and we have seen India losing in very easy situations also. So, and this happens with every team, not only India, it's a sport after all. So, what does speculation mean in foreign exchange? So, speculation not in foreign exchange, but in general finance term means, if you see something is about to increase in price, what will you do? If you see something is about to increase in price tomorrow, what will you do? You will buy today and sell it tomorrow, yes or no? You want to make a profit. Barabar hai? If I tell you that the laptop you are using or the phone you are using is going to increase in its value after 1 week, so what will you do? You will clean it and you will nicely keep it so that next week you will be able to sell it. Similarly, if you don't have anything, if I tell you apples are going to be very, very costly from next week onwards, you will buy dozens and kilos of apples and you will then sell it after 1 week. Similarly, in foreign exchange also, if investors who are there for, I'll cover this more in markets chapter so you'll understand. So normally investment is done for a long term, yes or no? Because you invest in a car for a long term, you invest in a building for a long term, you invest in a house in a long term. But there are some people who see that, today $1 is 70 rupees, tomorrow $1 would be 72 rupees. Okay, $1 is 70 rupees, tomorrow $1 would be 72 rupees. So let me buy the currency which is going to become stronger. So let me today buy dollars and then tomorrow I will sell dollars so that I will get more rupees. So today when you are buying dollars, you will have to pay only 70 rupees. But tomorrow you think that it is going to go to 72. You will buy $1 today, you will give 70 rupees. Tomorrow you will sell $1 at 72 rupees, 2 rupees profit. That is called as speculation. Just playing between the prices is called as profit. Is called as speculation. High price, low price, just playing with it is called as this thing, speculation. So if there is a serious speculative attack on the currency, speculative attack means if in the international forex market, if in the foreign exchange market, the investors speculate a lot, the investors buy dollars a lot or buy rupees a lot or whatever, if there is a speculative attack on currency, reserves are not used to prevent depreciation. In the past, See, because we use reserves for genuine transactions, genuine there is deficit, and then we are using reserves to prevent depreciation. Speculation hai. Today people are buying dollars, tomorrow they'll sell dollars. Today people are buying rupees, tomorrow they'll sell rupees. Tomorrow they'll buy rupees, today they are selling rupees. So RBI cannot calibrate its policy, or RBI cannot calibrate its usage of the forex reserves itna fast or according to the whims and fancies of speculators, right? In the past, RBI has tightened monetary policy. Tightened. What do we mean by tightened? Tightened monetary policy means increase the rate and use capital controls in order to prevent the rupee from falling instead of selling off its billions. Capital controls. Capital controls, I hope you remember capital controls. Convertibility restrictions are capital controls because they control the capital from flowing outside the country. Capital controls. Okay. The central bank does not want the rupee to appreciate as that makes exports uncompetitive. Self-explanatory. Hence it intervenes in the forex market to buy dollars. Self-explanatory. Such a course of action as adopted by China for many decades is seen as a beggar thy neighbor policy. Very important. Please add to your notes. We'll add it here. Beggar thy neighbor policy. Very, very, very important. I'll just write it here. Sir, out of all the colors of red, में क्यों लिखते हो? Yeah, I know. Beggar thy neighbor policy. Right? कहाँ गया यार? Beggar thy neighbor policy. Then, okay. Such a course of action is adopted by China for many decades is seen as a beggar thy neighbor policy because it makes the countries worse off. This is not looked upon kindly. This is frowned upon by other countries. In April this year, US decided to retain India on its watch list of currency manipulators. India has been on this list since December 2020. So USA is watching India कि currency manipulator हो तुम बड़ा गंदा काम कर रहे हो. The USA puts countries on the list of manipulators if they meet 2 of the 3 criteria over a 12-month period. This is good for prelims. I'll send this article across also. If they meet 2 of the 3 criteria over a 12-month period, bilateral trade surplus with the US of over 20 billion, current account surplus of at least 2% of GDP, net purchase of foreign currency amounting to at least 2% of country's GDP. According to US, which means if it affects US a lot, and if the country is manipulating currency, then you will be in a watch list. According to US Treasury Department's reports released in April, India was kept in this list because RBI's net forex intervention, which means buying and selling of foreign currency, amounted to 5% of GDP in the previous year, and because India's bilateral trade surplus with US has exceeded $20 billion. 5% of GDP से ज़्यादा we have intervened in the market. RBI has intervened in the market, right? Among the many costs of RBI's currency intervention, an important one is that adding to its forex assets increases the money supply in the domestic financial system. One of the costs, we have not discussed this yet, so let us discuss this first. So how much forex reserves increase or how much forex reserves should be kept? That is a question now. कितना होना चाहिए? How much should forex reserves be? Should it be too much or should it be too low? What will happen if it is too low? We know that there is a risk of sovereign debt crisis if it is too low. What if it is too much? How do you accumulate foreign exchange? Either you have a surplus, either you have a capital account surplus, current account surplus, or RBI will buy it. Simple hai. Or if investment comes in and surplus happens then, or RBI will buy it. When RBI will buy it, will it buy for free? No, it will not buy for free. Right? When RBI will buy dollars, what will happen to the exchange rate? When RBI will buy dollars, exchange rate will slide down. So exchange rate sliding down is one of the negative impact of holding too much foreign exchange. Yes or no? So you have cost of, so then that becomes a cost of acquisition is high. Too much forex से क्या होता है? Cost of acquisition increases I'm going to use a word which I hope you remember. I hope you remember this word, sterilization. When did we discuss sterilization? When we were discussing market surplus scheme, when we were discussing market stability scheme, MSS. When we were discussing MSS of RBI 2004, lot of foreign exchange coming in, we had to suck out excess liquidity. Suck out matlab kya? RBI will buy, RBI will buy on government behalf, government will buy MSS bonds, it will buy. वो रखेगा कहाँ? Where will government keep? Government will keep with RBI. But do you think it is free of cost? Do you think कि MSS bondholders would not demand interest? ऐसा नहीं है, they will demand interest. So sterilization cost becomes high, cost of acquisition becomes high. That is why too much forex is also harmful for the economy. Too much forex is harmful. Why? Because these costs are high and these are all expenditures which might not be required. ना इतना forex की जरूरत नहीं है. Anything in excess. Now you store a lot of notebooks, let's say blank notebooks, you have 10-20 blank notebooks, but if you don't require, what is the use? Right? So they are saying ki among the many costs of RBI's currency intervention, important one is that adding to its forex assets increases the money supply in the domestic financial system. If it is not sterilizing, then it will increase money supply, yes or no? If it is not sterilizing, we went one step further and we said कि RBI will sterilize it and उसका cost होगा then. Cost of acquisition or money supply increase. And if you don't want to increase money supply, you will have to sterilize it, you will have to suck it back. But when you do it, it is not free. When you do it, it comes at a cost. When you do it, it comes at an interest. Okay? An expansion in the money supply exerts inflationary pressures which might be damaging for the economy. I hope. See, this is a very advanced level article. Appreciate the fact that this is a very, very, very advanced level article. This is written by Ila Patnaik, whose series Ilanomics is very famous. She's an economist of very high caliber. So I would rate this in terms of UPSC advanced reading. I would rate this 9.5 out of 10. You know, when you read this article. Okay? Are forex reserves held for preventing currency weakness? One of the reasons a high level of reserves is considered useful is because it gives the central bank enough ammunition to fight against future currency depreciation. Why currency depreciation happens? We know, because we want to plug the deficits. If the currency starts depreciating against the dollar, then central bank can sell its dollar reserves and buy the local currency in order to stop the depreciation. But this rarely happens in case of a speculative attack on the currency. Because RBI knows that this is speculation. RBI knows that this deficit is only on account of speculative trade transactions, not on account of investments. When the with the US economy over now, we are going to the US. Please pay attention here, please. I know this is a very long article. Normally economics articles are long, boring and too complicated. But I hope so far you have understood at least 60-70% of it. If you have understood 60-70% of it, with more and more reading, with further reading of related articles, related topics, and with revisions, you'll be able to form a complete picture about these things. Right? I'll be very honest and I'll tell you that 2 days ago, I got a call from one of my students, senior student, last year he had studied from me in Pune. So I got his call and he said that he was discussing with 5 or 6 of his friends in a group about economics, and he told them like, this means this and this means that, and his friends were clueless about what he was talking, and he called me and he said, sir, it feels so good to know economics, the meaning of the terms, the meaning of the analysis. The point is that is how economics should be read. His studies was not going well. He had some family problems, and due to restrictions in Maharashtra and all of that, they have some money problems also. So family has some problems, and his studies was not going well. So he has not revised it. He has exams now on 10th October 2021. But he said even without revising, I was able to relate to the concepts. I was able to explain the concepts without revision. So I was like, that is what we aspire for, isn't it? As a teacher, as students, that is what we look forward to. We should be able to read, we should be able to understand, we should be able to recollect, and we should be able to reproduce. Simple. Okay. With the US economy overheating, which means inflation. due to massive fiscal stimulus implemented. Overheating due to massive fiscal stimulus. So are we not talking about this part here? This part, yes or no? Overheating हो रहा है, ठीक है? With the US economy overheating due to massive fiscal stimulus implemented by US government, inflation in US is on the rise. Very good. We know this. This could prompt the US Federal Reserve to start raising the policy interest rate. I hope you know counter-cyclical fiscal policy. Okay? If that happens, what will happen if they start raising interest rate? I hope I know where the article is going. If that happens, the situation for emerging economies like India will be similar to taper tantrum episode of 2013. I love this article because this has all the terms which we have used till date, many terms which we know. There is nothing which we did not know. Okay? When the US Fed had signaled a tapering of its quantitative easing policy, quantitative easing means unconventional methods, very low interest rate. I hope you know, very low interest rate mein quantitative easing happens. You start accepting lower quality bills, you as a central bank, and you start dropping money as a concept. Yes or no? So, quantitative easing policies are being tapered, which means they are being reduced, which means interest rate will now slowly rise. When interest rate will slowly rise, it will be foreign investors would be attracted to US and not to India, and money will flow from India to US. This has led to capital outflows from India as well as other emerging economies, causing their currencies to depreciate. When there will be capital outflow, what will happen? There will be a deficit on account of capital account. Now that deficit has to be filled in. If it is not filled in, then currency will start to depreciate. Are you getting this? I hope you are getting this. Itna mehnat. Defending the exchange rate by selling reserves invites speculators. When people see, this is a very good paragraph, I think. Defending the exchange rate by selling reserves invites speculators. When people see that RBI is selling reserves, they expect that when reserves will fall to a very low level, the central bank will be forced to stop intervening and currency will weaken. So when they say that RBI is selling reserves, which means RBI is trying to stop the depreciation, but after a point of time, depreciation will continue because reserves will fall down. Foreign as well as domestic investors start taking money out before this event materializes. So they know abhi is economy ki vaat lagne wali hai, the currency is going to go for a toss, so I might as well remove it. Now when they remove this, their speculative attack on currency ends up hastening the currency depreciation. Now when they remove this, so depreciation becomes exacerbated, the depreciation becomes more worse, right? See, this is a very advanced article. It is okay if you don't remember anything, but are you understanding what they are saying? That is the important point. Understanding and remembering mein farak hai. You don't need to remember this, but you need to understand this. This is what will feed into your ability to read economic survey. See, economic survey is exactly written in this language. This is the economics language I was talking to you about. Since the very first lecture I have been telling you, economics is a language. It is just like a foreign language. You have to know the words, you have to know the meaning, grammar rules, and you will be able to understand. This is the perfect demonstration for that. I'll save this article even for my future batches, because this is exactly what I mean when I say ki, that you need to understand economics in an economics language sense of it, and not in English. But for explanation, we need English. Okay? So during the taper tantrum to prevent depreciation, RBI tightened monetary policy, squeezed liquidity from the system, imposed capital controls. It used a very small part of its reserves. So 2013 में क्या हुआ कि capital controls were imposed, etc. ठीक है? In May 2013, RBI's forex reserves were around 288 billion. Now how much do we have? We have 608. Between May and September, it sold roughly 22 million. Even so, the rupee witnessed a sharp depreciation from 56 to 62. And this is when Dr. Raghuram Rajan was brought in to prevent this from going further. I remember I was doing the audit of Reserve Bank of India in this period only. The central bank's buildup of reserves lets business believe that, see this, very important, sentiment. Sentiment we are going to discuss in markets chapter, but here it is very, very, very important. Sentiment. The central bank's buildup of reserves lets business believe that rupee will not weaken sharply. They think that RBI stock of reserves will be used against big currency fluctuations. This in turn prevents these firms from hedging. Hedging means protecting the dollar exposure on the balance sheet. मतलब this prevents them from taking precautionary measures. Normal. ये छोड़ दो, थोड़ा advanced है. It creates a never-ending vicious cycle wherein the more RBI holds, the more confident these firms become to take unhedged exposure, thus avoiding the cost of hedging, and then the greater justification for RBI to hold reserves. छोड़ दो ये. Even if you don't understand, this is fine. Hedging and all. We'll touch hedging in market chapter, but I don't think so. It is very important from UPSC point of view. I don't want to get into the complexities of hedging and types of hedging and everything. ठीक है? So I hope you are able to appreciate this. This is the advanced article for UPSC from UPSC point of view. It appeared in the print, but written by Ila Patnaik, who is an economist. So you just read a very highly respected and highly rated economist's article. Even if you understood 60-70% of 2/3 of it, consider yourself to be on the very right track to read economics. That is it. ठीक है? See, because agriculture mein you don't need to understand agriculture. You need to just think and write about it. Agriculture mein, if I tell you what is the problem with irrigation, you will say ki connection of pipes is not there, type of irrigation is wrong, or rainfall is very this thing, so it makes Indian agriculture irrigation dependent, or more irrigation is required, etc. etc. Okay. Understanding, less of understanding is required and more of thinking is required. और क्या हो सकता है, और क्या हो सकता है. Here we have to start from understanding. Thinking though is a later stage in economics. Hence, I always give more than 2/3 or even 3/4 of my lectures to economics and very less part to agriculture, because it is self-explanatory. ज़्यादा कुछ है नहीं. ठीक है? Right? So we just read a very, very, very important, and we just read a very big article on this thing. So I hope you are able to appreciate that. Again, RBI is always in a dilemma. You are able to appreciate the dilemma RBI has with regards to the foreign exchange holding, with regards to how much foreign exchange is to be held, and क्या है क्या नहीं है, etc. Exchange rate depends. Now this is very important. Now, what determines exchange rate? What do you think determines exchange rate? Factors determining exchange rate. If I talk to you about factors determining exchange rate, anything and everything you can determine, or anything or everything you can think of determines the exchange rate. Anything. ठीक है? Anything affects exchange rate. We discussed for capital account convertibility, what do we require? We require a very low fiscal deficit and all. Anything affects exchange rate because it is based on the sentiment. If investors see that India is doing very good, India is fundamentally, economically doing very good, then they will come, and when they come, rupee will appreciate. Barabar? There are 2-3 factors which we need to pay our attention on, but I'll just write down what all affects. You only tell me how does it affect. Growth rate of India. Does it affect the exchange rate? Yes, because it will attract more and more investors. Very good. Second is future potential. Do you think future potential will also affect the exchange rate? Yes, because future potential shows that India is a very good investment destination for foreign investors, and then they will come here. Then do you think foreign trade profile will also come here? Foreign trade profile. If India is trading very good, or India is in a very good position with respect to other countries, it means that foreign trade profile is good and foreign trading is being done in a good manner, which means India is following all the rules of the global trade, and then investors will again come. Okay? Forex reserves, we just saw in the article, if forex reserves are high, it gives confidence to the investors. So forex reserves also affect your this thing. Very important, very, very, very important. Fed policies, US Fed policies also affect our exchange rate, because in case of taper tantrum, what happened was money was pulled out due to their currency. So Fed policies also affect exchange rate, or Fed policies also affect investment, right? Then finally, very good, political stability. Yes or no? I have not written 2-3 factors here because we are going to discuss them. Political stability also. See, if India is very unstable, if government is changing every 2 years, government is failing, there is precedence rule in almost every state, political instability बहुत ज़्यादा है, then what is the use of that? Then they know कि political stability नहीं है. You will also not invest in a country which is not having political stability. ठीक है? Now we'll see some important factors also. इसके अलावा there are some important factors. One is inflation. What is the relation between inflation and exchange rate? Inflation का relation क्या है exchange rate से? What do you think is the relation between inflation and what is the relation between inflation and exchange rate? Try to think between relation between inflation and exchange rate. देखो, inflation let's say ज़्यादा है. If inflation is more, domestic inflation ज़्यादा है, goods are costlier, so you will move towards imports. Yes or no? Because your inflation is more, you will move towards. Sorry, I should not make two arrows. You will move towards imports. Now, when you move towards imports, what will happen? You will require, what will you require? You will require dollars. What will happen to rupee? ठीक है? See, inflation and exchange rate का analysis can be done in any manner. The only thing is, because you can say कि tomorrow inflation increases, it gives an incentives to producers, domestic producers to produce more, and then your producers will also export more, and then export ज़्यादा होगा, and then exchange rate would reduce and all of that. You can discuss all of that. This is the main analysis, or this is the main relation. Economics is not black and white, it is always grey. Nothing is 1 + 1 = 2 in economics, because there's always a range. So after a range, your exchange rate would depreciate or your exchange rate would go down. Might be possible up to a certain extent it will appreciate because of exports and all, but otherwise it will depreciate. ठीक है? Next क्या करेंगे हम? What are we going to do next here? Next factor, inflation and exchange rate. Very important factor I'm going to tell you about. What about interest rate, exchange rate and interest rate? ये कैसे अफेक्ट करेगा? We saw that inflation का exchange rate से क्या relation है. Now we are about to see what is the rate or what is the relation between exchange rate and interest rate. Now when we speak about exchange rate and interest rate, simple relation है. I had made a drawing also. I had made a drawing of heart here. Heart है, interest rate is the heart of FDI. So similarly, if the interest rate is very high, what will happen? If the interest rate is very high, it will lead to FDI coming in. What will happen if FDI comes in? When FDI comes in, what will happen? Rupee will appreciate. That is the exchange. Simple है, ठीक है? Again, like I told you कि इसका भी तो दोनों sides है, so you can think about it. What is the relation between income and exchange rate, GDP and exchange rate, growth and exchange rate, debt and exchange rate? You can establish your own relations. The only thing I would like to tell you is the important ones are inflation and exchange rate and interest rate and exchange rate. But again, these are only true up to a certain level. उसके बाद the behavior changes according to various other factors also. तो वो भी ध्यान में रखना जरा, keep that in mind as well. And we move on to the next topic, very 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 important topic. We are moving on to a topic which is called as These are two concepts which I want to tell you about. Near and read. कुछ नहीं है, very simple है. This is nominal effective exchange rate, and this is, एक बात तो आपको भी, you would have understood now only what is the difference between these two. You don't know what is these two, what are the concepts, but you know the difference between these two. What is the difference between these two? Yes, you are right. The difference between these two is nothing but inflation. Yes or no? Simple है यार. Inflation है, nominal real inflation है. Now what is this? Let me give you an example. India, this is India. India does trade with various countries, yes or no? So India does trade with USA, India does trade with South Korea, India does trade with China, India does trade with UK, India does trade with Germany, India does trade with France, India does trade with एक और country बोल दो, Spain, ठीक है? India does trade with all of these things. Now, do you think India does equal amount of trade with these countries? No, India does not do equal amount of trade. Yes or no? What India does is, India does different amount of trade. So, let's say USA will constitute 30% of trade, but Spain will constitute only 3% of trade. Let's say, suppose, and so on and so forth. China will constitute, I don't know, 35% of trade, suppose. Okay? But France will again constitute only 8%, suppose. Right? So, what is India's, pay attention here, what is India's currency rate, like with US, what is the exchange rate? Dollar to rupee. ठीक है? What is with South Korea? South Korean won to rupee. What is with China? Yen to rupee. What is with UK? Pound to rupee. ठीक है? इनका थोड़ा पता नहीं. I forgot. I had by-hearted currencies of the world just for the sake of time pass. Before even doing UPSC, I had by-hearted all the currencies of all the countries. Even small African countries also I had by-hearted the currencies. But I forgot. And the capitals also. I had by-hearted the capitals also. So South Africa has 3 capitals. Cape Town, Pretoria, and Bloemfontein. Some of them I remember, but some of them are out of the memory. Euro, ठीक है? ये हाँ. So I'm saying कि dollar rupee को हम अगर 30% से, so if I take the average of dollar rupee, rupee won, rupee yen, rupee pound, etc., rupee euro, I would get an exchange rate. Yes or no? Average I'm taking. So let's say dollar rupee is 72, rupee won, I don't know कितना है rupee won. This is 92, and I will take the average of 92 plus 72 divided by 2, and whatever I would get is the average 82. ठीक है? Now, this is a simple average. I hope in statistics you know what is the weighted average. Weighted average means you allocate weights to it. Weighted average means you multiply it by some weight. So whatever is more important, you give it more weight, and then you take the weighted average. Similarly, if I say कि China के साथ we trade 35%, USA के साथ we trade 30%, so these act as weights. The proportion of global trade acts as weights. The proportion of global trade with other countries acts as weights. So dollar will have 30% weight, yen will have 35% weight, won will have very less weight if the South Korea's proportion is less, and that exchange rate, whatever is the exchange rate which arrives, whatever is the weighted average exchange rate, will it show the average of trade profile of India? Yes or no? Because it is based on the trades with various countries. It is based on the weights of the it is based on the weights of the proportion of trade with various countries, and then you finally get an exchange rate which is called as nominal effective exchange rate. What is the effective exchange rate? You are trading with USA, very good. Usme you are surplus. You are exporting a lot to US, you are running a surplus. You are importing a lot from China, you are running an deficit. Average. Effectively, what is your position? Effectively, how much is your exchange rate valued? That is called as nominal effective exchange rate. Okay, that is called as nominal effective exchange rate. When you reduce inflation from all these countries in proportion to their trade weights, that is called as real effective exchange rate. Okay, let me take you to RBI website again. We will go to RBI. and we will say, and we will RBI near, I don't know, यही है क्या? Effective exchange rate indices of the Indian rupee. See this. Jan 21 का ही है. हाँ, see this. We'll read this. Structural changes in the Indian economy and shifts in pattern of India's foreign trade warrant updates to the broad indices of nominal NER, RER of the Indian rupee. Updated series. There are two changes which I would like to draw our attention to. One is that the base year is 1516. So we will write here base year is 1516. Very good. And then second is 40 countries. I know it because of Jan May I had read it. Base year is 2015-16 and it is constructed for 40 countries. Sir, why is it done? What is the analysis? Not required. Not required. Only the concept is required. See, I can tell you the analysis of RER and NER for 2 hours, but it is simply not required, and I don't have that much of lectures also in my hand, and plus it is a waste of both of our times. Okay? So base year is 1516 and existing basket is 40 currencies, 40 countries or 40 currencies. Inflation differentials between India and its major trading partners have declined and stabilized. ठीक है. See this. Effective exchange rates serve as a gauge for assessing the fair value of a currency, the external competitiveness of an economy, and even serve guideposts for setting monetary and financial conditions. An EER, effective exchange rate, is a summary indicators of movements of home currency against a basket of currencies of trading partners, which we have discussed. The nominal effective exchange rate is an index of weighted average of bilateral exchange rates of home currency. Bilateral, मेरा US का, मेरा कोरिया का, vis-a-vis the currencies of trading partners. What is the weight? Weights derived from their shares in the trade basket of the home currency. What is the share of USA? 30% in our total trade. So if India exports $100 worth of goods, if we are exporting $30, 30% of the trade with USA, then 30 would be the weight to dollars. ठीक है? Choice of base year, coverage of, see this. These are the weights. So latest weights, trade based weight, export based weight. So only exports पे भी we remove and trade overall, import export दोनों मिला के also we calculate. So किसका है highest इसमें 100% में से? Which currency has got the highest one? 12. China, of course. 11.6 to US and 11.6 to Euro countries or currencies, Euro currencies. 40 है, top 40 है. This is the small 0.3 है. कौन है? Ukraine and all also we have taken. Okay, so they have given all the methods and all. We don't need to get into this. Only the concept is important. The concept is that it shows the weighted average of your trade with other countries, the currency, the effective exchange rate. It is the effective exchange rate. See, on the exchange rate, you are importing or exporting as per your exchange rate. Yes or no? So when you are trading with Turkey, Turkish lira and Indian rupee, whatever would be the exchange rate, you would be paying accordingly if you are importing, and you would be receiving accordingly if you are exporting. Okay? Similarly, you trade with hundreds of other countries. So we have taken 40 countries with which you trade, and unka according to the weight, according to the importance in your trading portfolio or trading basket, I'm using the word portfolio, trading portfolio or trading basket, you allocate the weights, and unke currency ka the present exchange rate with 2015-16 as the base year, you calculate what is my effective exchange rate. More than this, not required to be known. Just the concept it is required to be known. 40 countries, 40 currencies, 2015-16 is the base year, very important, right? And more or less, what we have to know here is what is the difference between nominal and real. What is the difference between nominal and real? It is nothing but it is inflation. INFLATION. That's it. Finish. Khatam. Goodbye. See you. Samjha? Very simple. Right? No need to go inside this. No need to go क्या होता है, कैसे होता है. Not at all required. Right? Now I am probably going to talk to you about some of some of the important concepts which forms a part of fiscal policy also, but it also forms a part of this thing. I did not include this in the fiscal policy chapters because you need to have a basic understanding of balance of payments, which you now have to understand this. It is very important, it is very interesting, it is very simple. That concept is called as twin deficit. Sir, E का होता है twin deficit. Do you know what is current account deficit? I hope you know what is current account deficit. Yes, sir. Do you know what is fiscal deficit? I hope you know what is fiscal deficit. Yes, sir. We know. ठीक है? Now I will show you what is twin deficit. Right? Suppose we have a current account deficit. Suppose we have a current account deficit. Suppose कर लो यार. Suppose we have a current account deficit. Chalo. What do we mean by when we say we have a current account deficit? We mean that we are importing way more than we are exporting. We are paying dollars way more than we are receiving dollars. ठीक है? Now, what would happen to forex? Forex would go down, yes or no? Forex would go down. What will happen to rupee? Rupee will depreciate, yes or no? Rupee will depreciate, very good. उसके बाद what will happen to the imports? Imports क्या होगा? Imports imports would increase. When rupee depreciates, imports increase, imports become costlier. ठीक है? Exports would also become high, but imports become costlier. When imports become costlier, see, when imports become costlier, inflation happens. Right? When inflation happens, when people don't have money to buy things, the government will give some subsidies, basic subsidies. When inflation happens, government will give some basic subsidies, ki chalo buy this, buy that. See, government will, obviously when inflation is happening, government will try to increase taxes and all, but wo increase taxes se what will it do? It will distribute it to the poor, it will give subsidies to the poor, yes or no? It will distribute it to the poor, subsidies. Right? Subsidies would increase because inflation hai, they need basic income support, they need inflationary, they need subsidies. To get this subsidy, kahan se aayega paisa? Debt, borrowing, which will lead to fiscal deficit. ठीक है, very good. When you have fiscal deficit, when you have high fiscal deficit, what would happen to the investments? What would happen to FDI? What would happen to foreign flows? Foreign flows would reduce, yes or no? Because they will run away. Because your fiscal deficit is now increasing, you are becoming less stable, they will run away. When foreign flows would reduce, what will happen? Dollars go away, dollars reduce. When dollars reduce, what will happen to your day-to-day transactions? Current account deficit would increase. ठीक है? Can we say it's a very cyclical process? At any stage, whatever starts, this happens. This is called as twin deficit. इससे ज़्यादा कुछ है ही नहीं explain करने के लिए, because you know what is CAD, you know forex, you know rupee, you know imports, you know inflation, you know subsidies, you know debt. You might not know subsidies in detail. We'll discuss in agriculture. You know debt, you know foreign flows, you know dollars, you know CAD. ठीक है? This is the flow which we have: current account deficit, forex, rupees, imports, inflation, subsidies, debt, foreign flows, dollar goes down. Dollar goes down means the rate of dollar doesn't go down, dollar goes out, flows out. And rupee goes down means what? Rupee depreciates. This phenomena is called as twin deficit. This phenomena, very important, it is called as a twin deficit. Twin deficit. ठीक है? What two deficits are there? Revenue deficit and current account deficit. Yes or no? No. Fiscal deficit and current account deficit. What two deficits are there? Capital account deficit and fiscal deficit. Yes or no? No. Current account deficit and fiscal deficit are the twin deficits. ठीक है? Next. Next concept, quickly we are going to the next concept. Chalo, very simple. Next concept, so it is very simple. Tell me what is the effect on devaluation. Should countries indulge in devaluation? I'm not writing depreciation here. I'm writing devaluation. Should countries indulge in devaluation? Why do countries indulge in devaluation? To boost exports. Yes or no? We saw the example of China and sometimes India also does it. But silently. It's our secret. ठीक है? Devaluation. To boost exports. ठीक है? चलो. Very good. Now, what do you think will happen when devaluation is done? Let me take a graph. Let me take a graph. This is time. कितना time लगेगा? And this will show your deficit. Current account deficit, you can say. Current account deficit, you can say. Or balance of payment position. Overall balance of payment position, you can say. Or BOP position. But mainly with respect to current account. Okay? Now, when you devalue, what does happen? When you devalue, what happens? What do you think happens when you devalue? When you devalue, what will happen? So today, $1 is 75. When you devalue, $1 becomes 78. Who will be happy? Who will be sad? Who will be happy? Exporter. Who will be sad? Importer. Right? What will be the immediate impact now? What will be the immediate impact? Immediate impact, short-term impact. Short-term impact क्या होगा? Short-term impact would be imports would rise automatically. Yes or no? Why? Because you are importing regularly. India is a very regularly importing country, and fuel and all, petrol and all, you need all of these things. So you will import. Imports would rise immediately. Would exports rise immediately? That is the question I want to ask. Would exports rise immediately? Today exporter is supplying 200 goods. Tomorrow exporter will get orders because of depreciation, or sorry, devaluation. He will get orders of 400 goods. Will he be able to supply 400 immediately? No. He will be able to supply 400 immediately, let's say here. ठीक है? Imports तो बढ़ेगा ही, but यहाँ पे exports भी बढ़े. Let's say here exports remain same. Short term, exports remain same. No change. And here what will happen? Imports increase. Exports would also start to increase. Yes or no? Okay? But here who will win? Imports is still more than exports. Here imports is still more than exports. And here finally exports will take over imports. Except kya export import. And here who will win? Obviously import wins. So what I'm trying to say is, when you devalue your currency, you are a country, you are a central bank, when you devalue your currency, immediately the effect is seen on imports, but the effect on exports is seen after a certain delay. Why? Because they have to increase their supply, they have to ramp up their equipment and all, they will do all that. Okay? So when imports increase now, what will happen to the balance of payments? What will happen to the deficit? Import is increasing, export is same. Import is increasing, export is same. Now what is happening? Import is increasing, export is same. What will happen to the balance of payment position? Let's say at 0 you are here. What will happen to the BOP? Would it reduce or would it increase? It would reduce. Okay? So chalo, yahan nahi. Let's say we are here. We'll start it here. So we are reducing now. Why we are reducing? Balance of payment, deficit. I should not write deficit here. I would write current account position. So it send a wrong signal. Current account position. So red means deficit. So now in the short term, imports would increase, exports would remain same. What would happen? Deficit होगा, ठीक है? As time passes, exports catch up कर रहे हैं. As time passes, exports catch up, but reduce होगा your, this is current account position, ना? This is your deficit. Red means you are in deficit. Deficit हो रहा है, नीचे जा रहे हो, और after a point of time you will realize कि अरे exports are catching up, your position is improving, ठीक है? So can I say initially my deficit will worsen and then it will turn to a surplus? Initially worsening deficit. And this is my improving surplus. ठीक है? Whatever is the net impact of import and export, you will be able to see here. Do you agree that this will take time, or this will probably take some lag? Immediately it will not happen. Immediately what will happen is imports will increase, thereby worsening your deficit, but after a point of time your exports start increasing and then you will have surplus. ठीक है? Do you agree with this? Can you see a shape here? Can you see a shape here? Can you see a shape here? This is in the form of a J, yes or no? ये J के form में है. This is J, hence this is known as J curve. This is called as J curve. Take a minute to absorb this in. Take a minute to revise by yourself. I am here only. सोच लो थोड़ा. This is called as a J curve. कि when you devalue your currency, immediately you will not lead to an export surplus. Immediately you will not find, oh, my exports are increasing. When you devalue your currency, initially your deficit will reduce. Your deficit will worsen. Your position will worsen. It will go down, and then it will start to improve after a point of time. Therefore, the curve will take a form of a J shape. This is called as J curve. We have seen two more curves. We have seen Laffer curve, which related to taxation, and Phillips curve, which showed the inverse relationship between inflation and unemployment. ठीक है? बराबर? Let us move ahead. This is called as J curve. ठीक है? So deficit increasing, deficit reducing, and surplus increasing. ऐसा हो जाएगा. ठीक है? This is known as J curve. Next, we are at the end of the chapter. Don't worry. Convertibility, everything, I hope you know. Right? Now we speak about something. We speak about hard versus soft currency. Hard versus soft currency. Before that, it is always suggested that this should not be resorted to by countries. Artificial devaluation, or rather devaluation, should not be resorted to by countries. Sir, why are you saying that? I am saying that because this will help only up to a certain extent. Ultimately, what are the ultimate factors for export? Common, what are the ultimate factors for export? Quality is the ultimate factor for export. Yes or no? If you have very high quality, you will be able to export even when your currency is strong. Even when your currency is strong, you will be able to export high number of items because of high quality. And Apple is the best example for it. Ridiculously costly products, but because of quality, or rather the perception of quality. In some cases, it is also the perception of quality. Actually, भले ही कुछ ना होगा. Actually, नहीं होगा. But it is the perception of quality which leads it to. And you know, the best example, I'll be very frank and honest, the best example are all the big coaching classes in all the streams, be it CA mein to hai hi, be it MBBS, JEE or UPSC. It might be quality very good. There are some classes, big names, which are providing good quality, but it is also the perception of quality which is allowing you to sell more and more. Similarly, if you focus on this rather than relying on devaluation and everything, if you focus on quality, you would be able to achieve your export targets. Okay? Now, hard versus soft currency. Sir, what do you mean by hard currency and what do you mean by soft currency? Hard currency is one, you imagine a tree. Imagine a tree. A tree is, जिसको आप मारोगे क्या होगा? Nothing will happen. Imagine a plant or a small shrub or herb. उसको मारोगे जोर से तो क्या होगा? It might break, it might bend and all. Similarly, hard currency is a currency which is not easily affected by external shocks. You know, speculation is happening, rupee depreciates very high, or speculation is increased, rupee has slid down, or FPI has reduced, rupee has slid down. Hard currency is one which is not affected much. It is affected, obviously, demand supply hai, but it is not affected much by these factors. Soft currency is one which is affected, which is fluctuated due to these external factors also. Now you tell me, where is rupee lying? Is it a hard currency or is it soft currency? Rupee is a soft currency. Which is a hard currency? Dollar is a hard currency. Okay? Dollar is a hard currency. Right? So when we say dollar is a hard currency, it means that it is not affected by, not at all, but not much affected by all these extraneous factors. Okay? Now, ये सब हो गया. We are going back to previous screen where I said, हाँ, ठीक है. Now, what do you think makes a currency hard, or what do you think makes a currency soft? What is the differentiating factor between dollar and rupee? ऐसा क्या है डॉलर एंड रुपी के बीच में डिफरेंस जो डॉलर को डॉलर बनाता है और रुपी को रुपी बनाता है? What is the thing? I hope you are able to guess this. The first is the scale. You know scale, the sheer volume. Dollar trade is huge. Rupee trade is very small. Rupee trade means what? You are trading with other country in rupees, right? So let's say you are trading with, suppose, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is accepting or making payment in Indian rupees to you. Then it is rupee trade. You are buying something from Sri Lanka. You are paying in rupees. Then it is rupee trade. Now just imagine क्या होगा volume rupee trade का in front of dollar trade. Very small. Dollar trade has scale. So to make a currency a hard currency, you need scale, volume. What is the second thing to make a currency a hard currency? Stability. Stability is affected due to various things. It can be government interventions, RBI interventions. It can be foreign interventions. It can be anything. Stability is also required to RBI. Okay, we'll go afterwards. Stability is also required. Stability is also required for your making a currency hard currency. And third is liquidity. Ultimately, liquidity होना चाहिए ना. Dollar should be accepted by anyone and everyone, and especially in tourist countries. You go, any country you go, they accept dollars. In any tourist country you go, most of them accept dollars. Dollar has liquidity. So these three are the key criteria for making a currency hard currency, and I gave it a short form, SSL. You know, in IT terms, in information technology network architecture terms, it is called secured socket layer, SSL. That is how I remember it. I have a very keen hobby in learning IT, coding and networking and all of that. So scale, stability and liquidity make a currency a hard currency. And this act of making a currency a hard currency, So can you say China's renminbi or China's yen is also a hard currency? Yes, most of it is also a hard currency, because many times China also trades in its own currency. Because see, if you want to trade in rupees, you should find a supplier, or you should find the other country who is willing to buy or who is willing to accept rupees, right? So wo hai. And this act of making a hard currency, this act of making any currency a hard currency is called as dollarization. So when I say dollarization of rupee, it means converting rupee from soft currency to hard currency. Dollarization. Okay? It is converting rupee from soft currency to hard currency. So obviously every country tries to make its own currency a hard currency. Every country tries to make or try to dollarize its currency. Barabar hai? Depending on the scale, stability and liquidity, you will decide whether it is a hard currency or a soft currency. See, these are again just words which you should know. Baki to kya hi hai. Okay? This is also known as, now think from a foreign investor point of view. What is safer? Possessing rupees or possessing dollars? Possessing dollars is safer. So that is why this is also called as a safe haven. I hope you know it is not heaven, it is haven currency. It is also called as a safe haven currency. ठीक है? Dollar is also called as a, लिखा है मैंने बहुत सारे नाम when I was reading, तो मैं सोचा बता दूं. Reserve currency, global reserve currency. But honestly, these are not that important from UPSC point of view, but ठीक. So what makes dollars a safe haven currency? What makes dollars a global reserve currency? What makes dollar a hard currency is the scale, stability and liquidity. And you know, how can we make rupee a hard currency, or how can we make rupee a safe haven currency, or how can we dollarize rupee, or how can we make rupee a global reserve currency? Scale, stability, liquidity. So dependence on dollar is increasingly being reduced. When we speak about IMF, I will tell you about this. Ki more and more countries are now trying to trade in between their own home currencies. So let's say ki India and Iran, I'll just give an example. India and Iran have and why are they trying to do that? Because they want to make their own currency a hard currency. So India and Iran have a rupee-real partnership. Real is the currency of Iran. They have a rupee-real partnership. A rupee-real mechanism. It is called a rupee-real mechanism. Okay, rupee-real means what? Ki they will not conduct trade in dollars. So whatever we are importing, we will have to pay in reals, and whatever they are importing from us, they will pay us in rupees. Simple. One-way transaction in rupee, one-way transaction in real. No dollar involvement, nothing. So similarly, if we have such other agreements with all various other major trading countries, then it will lead to strengthening of rupee. It will lead to diversifying from dollar. See, now every country depends on dollar. ऐसे नहीं हो सकता ना, because tomorrow if something happens to dollar, then what will happen? No, so too much of dependence on dollar is being frowned upon in today's era, in today's trading era. Too much of dollar is not preferred, and hence we call it as rupee-real partnership, or we enter into rupee-real partnership, or we enter into such other currency mechanisms with other of our or with many of our trading partners. ठीक है? Now, very important. I was going back for this only when I showed you the chart. There are two types of transactions which you need to know. Does this happen due to government intervention, or this happens routinely? Routinely. Does this happen due to government intervention, or this happens due to market forces? Market forces. Does this happen due to government intervention, or happens due to market forces? Government intervention. Because this is government intervention. This is intervention by RBI or government to fulfill the deficit, or to fill up the deficit which is arisen out of capital account or current account, depending. Okay? So now, these transactions are made. Interventions है ना, ये सब interventions है, right? So interventions by government or RBI, interventions by RBI are called, or any transaction where RBI or government involves themselves or involves itself in the market, this transaction is called as accommodating transactions. I'll tell you why. Accommodating transactions. Why accommodating transactions? Because RBI is trying to accommodate the deficit. कि हाँ deficit हुआ है, let us arrange some funds, let us accommodate it, let us help it. ठीक है? Surplus हुआ है, let us accommodate it, let us take it away from the money supply, right? So these are known as accommodating transactions, and all other transactions, current account, capital account, कुछ भी, any other transactions on account of balance of payment, all other BOP transactions. All other BOP transactions are called as autonomous transaction. सर एक तो आप ब्लू पेन से लिखना बंद करो, it is already very dark. Are called as autonomous transactions. Autonomous है तो अपने आप हो रहे हैं, no government intervention involved. Accommodating transactions, accommodation required by RBI. RBI has to accommodate it. Did you understand so much of it? Yes or no? This PPT is so important. Na? Imagine if the software hangs, light goes, what will happen? Right? Okay? We'll revise this in the next lecture. I want to take you to balance of payment position latest. Pay attention here. I want to take you to live. See, I always show live things. बाकी book क्या है? Book is important, no doubt. उसमें बहुत कुछ काम का भी है. But unless you are able to appreciate क्या है, latest balance of payment of India. हाँ, ठीक. चलो, let us try to read this. 30th December 2020. Okay, very good. ठीक है. Key features of India's balance of payment in Q2 2021. India's current account surplus moderated to 2.4% of GDP. Current account में surplus, we are running a surplus of current account. It moderated, which means it reduced to 2.4% from 3.8%. Imagine we were running a current account surplus. Just imagine, we are doing nice. We were doing a surplus. We are doing a surplus because our imports have reduced a lot. Why? Because of supply restrictions due to lockdown and gold trading. Like people were not buying gold because of lockdown and jeweler shops were closed, so imports were reduced, and that is why we are in surplus. We will go in deficit. Don't worry. Okay? The narrowing of current account surplus was on account of rise in trade deficit, merchandise trade deficit. Remember, current account has two times, trade account and then invisibles account. Trade account की वजह से है. So जैसे as and when lockdown gets eased, our trade account surplus would reduce and deficit will keep on piling. Net services receipts, you remember services, increased both sequentially on year-on-year basis. High earnings from computer services. See, why they are saying net services receipts? Because net means you pay for services, you receive for services, so net receipts itna hai, right? Private transfer receipts, remember transfers, remittances, etc. Private transfer receipts, mainly representing remittances by Indians employed overseas, declined but improved sequentially. I want to tell you that India is the highest receiver of remittances in the world. Highest receiver of remittances in the world. $8 billion है कुछ तो आता है हमारा. Highest receiver of remittances in the world. When it comes to FDI, India is amongst the top 10 FDI receivers in the world. Just important to know as fact. Highest receiver of remittance in the world and amongst top 10 FDI destinations in the world. ठीक है. Net outgo from primary income account, primarily reflecting net overseas investment income payments. Income account, remember services, transfers and income, STI, income account. So net outgo from income account was this. In the financial account, now this is a good point which they brought in here just to know. So earlier you know balance of payment as what? You know balance of payment as current account and capital account. Okay. Now the new format shows current account, financial account and capital account. Sir, what is financial account? Transactions of financial market are shown in financial account. इतना ही पता होना चाहिए. All the transactions which are happening in financial account. For example, borrowing is not a financial account transaction, but FPI is a financial account or financial market transactions. Financial account. बस simple है. ज़्यादा नहीं है इसमें कुछ. There is nothing more in this. In the net financial account, net FDI recorded robust inflow. FDI recorded robust inflow. Net FPI. See the words. Net because आना जाना सब होता है ना. Net foreign direct investment, net foreign portfolio investment, largely reflecting purchase in the equity market. No need to know that. With repayments exceeding fresh disbursal, external commercial borrowings. कहाँ गया? Repayments exceeding fresh disbursals, external commercial borrowings recorded net outflow. Repayments exceeding fresh disbursals मतलब क्या? Indians का repayment exceeding fresh disbursals of loan from the foreign company, foreign bank to Indians. We are talking about external commercial borrowings, right? So which means we borrow. Fresh disbursal means disbursal of loans from that bank to Indians. Disburse means to launch or to release. ठीक है? So disbursal of loans से ज़्यादा repayment exceed हो रहा है. Recorded net outflow. Non-resident deposits, accretion, foreign exchange reserves, etc. There was an accretion of 31.6 billion to the foreign exchange reserves as compared to that. So we accumulated foreign exchange reserves. See, we are running a current account surplus. So accretion hoga to foreign reserves unless we have sold off unless we have sold off dollars to manage the appreciation of the currency. ठीक है? See this. This is the balance of payment. This is a new format. Current account. Itna. Goods. Out in current account, one is goods, of which POL. Now, what is POL? POL is petroleum oil lubricants. This is a term which is used for focusing on those specific items which are very import heavy, which exert the main pressure is exerted on a deficit because of POL. That is why it is called POL. Petroleum oil lubricants. ठीक है? Then goods हो गया, services हो गया. Primary income, secondary income. No need to know this. Primary income means what income which you earn directly. So if you have shares of a USA company, you will earn the income as dividend or share card, whatever interest you will get, dividend you will earn directly. Secondary income means what? Your brother has earned it there and he is sending it to you. Remittances. Secondary income. Capital account and financial account. They have merged it. Kabhi in the new format. Sometimes it is shown separately. This is a very consolidated version. Capital account and financial account, of which change in reserves. Change in reserves means forex कितना बड़ा है, कितना कम हुआ है. How much did we have to sell forex? How much did we gain in forex? So in this case, net we had to sell forex. Why? Because we were running a deficit. Net negative है, जो भी है. अच्छा उल्टा दिया है उन्होंने. Increase is minus, decrease is plus. So increase is minus. So this is increase. Errors in omission preliminary. ठीक है, जो भी है. Did you understand balance of payment chapter? I want to conclude this chapter. Did you understand the chapter? Did you understand the terminologies required for understanding this chapter? Did you understand the concepts which we discussed? Do you appreciate or do you know the significance of this chapter? ठीक है? Do you understand the analysis, limited analysis what we have made about convertibility, about dollarization, about devaluation, right? About RBI intervention, currency manipulator list hai USA mein, we saw that. So all these factors, if you study, if you revise these factors, when you read it from the book, any book, you will feel comfortable now. I hope you feel comfortable. Okay? Right? So I think we should stop here. We can revise also. But let us I'll just quickly take you through this. We spoke about FDI restrictions, then we spoke about FEMA, we spoke about convertibility, then we spoke about what are the pros and cons of capital account convertibility. We also spoke about Dutch disease. What is Dutch disease? Dutch disease is nothing but it leads to appreciation of home currency, which discourages exports, and that is when deindustrialization happens because your industry doesn't grow, right? Then we saw the pros and cons. तो हमने सारे देख लिए. We saw East Asian crisis like scenario also, where currency where your home currency loses its value or depreciates it because your foreign inflow has now turned into outflow or it has gone away from the country, right? Then you have Dutch disease ho gaya. Then we have the difference. See, this is a very small trivia type thing, but I thought I should let you know. LRS and LERM is two different things. Then we have what about full capital account convertibility? There are some preconditions which are required. Tarapur committee also said these are the conditions. Some examples of whatever we have done of capital account convertibility. Then we saw Tarapur 2 also. We saw participatory notes also. We saw what is required. Most of the things we are already doing or we have already done it. Then we saw what are the stages. First, deficit yahan or deficit comes here. Then forex reserves are strained. Then if they are not sufficient, then your currency starts depreciating. We also know that whatever interventions are made by RBI when it comes to reserve, they are called as accommodating transactions, and whatever other balance of payment transactions, all other import, export, services, investments, borrowings, capital account, financial account, current account, etc. are under autonomous transactions, right? Then we also saw once rupee depreciates, what happens is importers are not happy, exporters are happy. Then finally sovereign debt crisis arises. Then we also saw India's forex reserves as these 5 components. Majorly, this is the component currently 608, 610 hai. 4th or 5th, it keeps on changing. Russia is also there with us in our journey. So I will write Russia also here. 4th or 5th hai. Russia is also here when we speak about the countries with highest forex reserves. Then we saw what is beggar than neighbor policy. Beggar than neighbor is nothing but artificially devaluing your currency, which China is often accused of doing, which makes it very lucrative for other countries to buy Chinese goods, which means that other countries which are neighbors, which are buying, which are exporting those goods, other countries, they don't find a market and people don't buy from them, right? Then you have too much forex results in cost of acquisition being high, sterilization cost being high, factors determining exchange rate growth, future potential. These are the important factors: inflation and exchange rate. Then we see that what is the need and need. Only the concepts is required. 40 countries, base year 15, 16. This is the basket. These are the weights of nominal effective exchange rate and real effective exchange rate. Okay, twin deficit, current account deficit, fiscal deficit, how it leads to fiscal deficit, and then again it feeds into the current account deficit that we have seen here. Then we also saw what is J curve. J curve is nothing but initially your deficit position will worsen and then it will improve and then eventually it will turn to surplus, right? So this is the J curve due to devaluation. Then what is dollarization? What is hard currency, soft currency? It depends on scale, stability and liquidity, SSL. Then global reserve currency, safe haven currency, hard versus soft currency, etc. All these things are there. Then you have this is very, very small thing: current account, capital account, current financial capital account, right? So I hope you are able to understand these things. If you are not able to understand anything, you can ask me. But I would request you कि whenever we finish a chapter in the class, revise it once, revise the notes, and then immediately finish it off from the book. That quickness, that alacrity is required, because if you don't do that, what will happen is jitna abhi samjha hai, whatever you have understood till now, that also you will forget, right? So in the next lecture we'll revise balance of payments, and I genuinely want to start with MCQs, because now it is time. We have completed balance of payment also. So we'll see MCQs for monetary policy, fiscal policy, tax, inflation, and then that is the first half. And maybe we'll cover a few more chapters, and after that we'll see MCQs from balance of payment and World Bank and WTO and all of that. right? I hope you, this was a long lecture. I know this was a very long lecture, but it was necessary to give balance of payment a proper farewell. You came, you understood, you conquered, now goodbye, now go, right? So we told goodbye to balance of payment chapter. Itna understanding is more than enough. Rest all is coming from newspapers, right? Thank you so much. If you like the videos, then please do spread the word. I want to help people to help understand economics, at least even if not for UPSC, then basic any other exam, state public service commission exams, basic economics exam, which has macroeconomy as a topic. Microeconomics, we are not going there because that is completely different. Theory, utility, and production markets and all those things are there. So we are not going into microeconomics. We are studying macroeconomics, and that too general studies macroeconomics. So anyone in need, if your friend, if anyone wants to, if anyone needs help or understanding anything, you can just spread my number and I'm fine with it. Okay? So we'll stop here. I hope you liked it. Keep on revising and be ready for some nice MCQs in the next lecture. Thank you.